So, boys, have you heard the legend of the graphic T-Man?
No.
The legend goes, if you say his name in a mirror at least 3 times, he'll show up and give you a graphic tee. And then someone on Twitter will respond back saying, buy some damn adult clothes. So, Brandon T. McClure, say his name.
I don't know his name.
I just told you, it's graphic tee.
That's a horrible name to say 3 times in a mirror.
Graphic T-Man, graphic T-Man, graphic T-Man.
Oh, that would have been really funny if you had Fanny just like whoop, just put a graphic tee.
Transformers shirt.
I probably should have done that. I literally just thought about that like 5 minutes ago. There's a whole reason. I'll get into it in a bit. But anyways, welcome everyone to the 253rd episode of the Fake Nerd Podcast. We're not talking about graphic tees. We are talking about Candyman. And that's the only time I'm going to say the name. I'm not going to say it 4 more times.
Good.
Because that's some spooky ass shit.
We'll say it enough later, I'm sure.
Probably. I'm Ben Magnet. Brandon T. McClure didn't say the name. Ryan, how about you say his name?
Man, comma candy.
Okay, that works. Sparks Witty.
Candyman.
God, you're bold.
He is bold.
Candyman.
No.
Actually,
Candyman.
No. I'd love to meet Tony Todd.
No.
Love Candyman.
Candyman.
I don't think you'll understand how much this movie terrified me.
Tony, what are you doing here?
I've been pretty good lately with my night terrors. You know, as I'm sure you guys know, I suffer from a lot of night terrors, which makes sleeping very difficult. And I've been pretty good. Not a lot in the past couple of weeks.
Until
boy howdy, the night after I saw this movie.
Until after you saw this movie, right?
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
That's so interesting. I'm so curious to hear why.
It scared
We'll
me.
get into it. Huh?
It scared me?
No, I know. I didn't find I enjoyed the movie. I didn't find it personally scarier than the original.
Mm-hmm.
It's more so of what the.
This is not a knock on the movie.
No, not at all. I agree. I don't think it was like scary, but the undertones of it sunk into my brain and created imagery that terrified me.
Sure, I get it. We'll get into it.
That's why we're here.
Who wants to talk about their week first? It's me.
Oh, I have links.
Oh,
no,
shit,
I don't care.
Oh.
No. No one cares.
Please?
Nobody cares.
Why not?
I care.
Go ahead.
He cares.
Fool, I probably got some links in there too, so I definitely care. Shit.
You don't have a link in there, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I should.
I'm sorry. You don't. Yes, you do. Since you're so eager, yes, you have an OSG article. An Old School Gamer Magazine article is linked below from our very good friend Ben Magnet.
Yep, it's so this past week, the 30th anniversary of when the Super Nintendo Entertainment System came out here in the United States. So I had to write a little thing about that.
And it's there. Check it out. Since we're in that one. Speaking of articles, I forgot last week. I'm going to do it for a couple of weeks, probably a couple more weeks. My Kaiju Ramen article is still in that magazine. You can still get a digital version of that magazine. I've linked that below. Great magazine. I highly recommend it. A lot of fun articles in that one, not just mine. And Ryan had a downright annoyed just earlier today.
Oh, I sure did. We watched the documentary called Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Hey, I saw that movie when it came out in theaters, and I thought that movie's really cool. And then I watched it again, and I still think it's kind of cool, but it's really gross that all slavery was caused by vampires, and they just kind of wash away all white people being victims or being the bad guys of it. And I'm like, wow, it's really gross, and I really hate it. But it's got really cool action. So, like, turn your brain off and just pretend it's 1950s and you don't think about this kind of thing.
A dude catches a horse and then gets on it, so it's hard to
listen. That's why I love that.
Yeah.
Like, that's my favorite scene in that movie is that wicked horse chase.
Mine too. One of my favorite moments though is just when they're on top of the train. It's Anthony Mackie and what's his face? I don't know who plays Abraham Lincoln, but when they're just like flipping the axe around and catching it and shooting it, and just like, man.
It's surprisingly more anime than I remember. And I'm like, there's some stuff that really works. It's just I really wish they just didn't center it around slavery because it just kind of ruins like the fundamentals of like, you guys are just gross.
Or
but,
even
like,
if you did, like, if it had the kind of like wanting to make us say something
Actually,
about it the way that like something like if that were made a few
Yeah, yeah,
years
yeah.
later, it might have.
if it were made today, I think it would be made with more tact and more
Yeah.
precision. But like for a 2012 movie, like it's still fun. Like it's still a good time.
In a weird way, where it's being a completely different fictional take of Abraham Lincoln, it is also still serving the meta narrative of Abraham Lincoln saved us all from the dangers of slavery.
100%.
And it's like that's so nuts.
And like I'm gonna spoil a movie from 2012 real quick, but it has a final battle where like the entire Southern army is made up of vampires, and I'm like, now we're just like literally erasing history, and I'm like, why do we even make this movie? We're just gonna do that.
Okay, it's been years since I last saw that movie, and to be honest, I don't really remember it well. I saw it on a plane, and I kind of wasn't really paying attention very
You
much.
should watch it from where not a plane.
Yeah. So isn't Robert E. Lee a vampire in that movie, or is he
No.
like not in the movie at all?
No, Robert E. Lee is in the movie, but no, the Southern army was getting defeated, so they sent vampires to supplement who were they're losing.
I mean, I've
Ben,
been wanting to rewatch.
it's basically like how Captain America: The First Avenger says, "Well, it's the Nazis aren't really a threat anymore. It's Hydra that's living in the Nazis that came up from it. Like Hitler's going to lose power, but Hydra's the real threat, so that they can focus on that." It did the same thing, but it did that with the Confederates aren't the real threat. It's vampires.
It's vampires,
Yeah.
and the vampires are cool. Like, hey, it's still a fun movie. Yeah,
I like that movie immensely.
Yeah.
We
I
also
love that I
have
was telling Ben something specifically, and he just ignored
Nope.
it.
I was listening.
Yeah, look at me when I talk to you.
Sorry, I'm doing the Twitter thing for our show. Damn it. Sorry. All right.
that's why I stopped doing the Instagram thing actually.
All right, Sparks. I apologize. So yeah, it's just like Hydra, where it's like it's not really Nazis. But replace
I know you got it. I know
replace
you got it.
Hydra with the vampires. Got it.
it's on HBO Max for free, so watch it if you don't want to spend money on it. Don't spend money on it.
Okay.
I mean, I own it. I already did spend
Well,
money.
Brandon,
on
you
it.
own a lot of things. Okay, I'm not talking to you.
I really, yeah, I've had that one for a long time. I just recently bought Event Horizon because I've had that one for a long time.
Event Horizon's a much better movie, and it's way less political.
I needed to upgrade to a Blu-ray.
Release the director cut of that. God,
Event Horizon?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that wicked like extra 2-hour gross cut. Hell yeah.
Yeah. All my a lot of the DVDs I'm trying to upgrade because with newer TVs the DVD frame ratio is getting a lot smaller and not filling the screen, so I'm trying to get Blu-rays to up res.
somewhat on this note, and I'm really happy about it, so I'm just going to talk about it. I got the 4K of Big Fish. I got the 4K of Big Fish for a specific reason. The Blu-ray of Big Fish had none of the awesome bonus features talking about how Burton made the movie or anything like that. It had zero bonus features. It was just the movie, because that's the lame Blu-ray disc. So I had the Blu-ray for a pretty copy of the film, but I had the DVD because I was like, I really love this movie and I love these bonus features. The 4K has restored those bonus features in high definition.
Wow.
I don't need to own either of the old copies of that film. I'm all good now.
I love it.
It's awesome. I finally got my PlayStation 5 set up, so I'm getting some 4Ks also.
Huzzah!
Okay, we also have some things that came about the network. We'll go back to the links in our description. So around the network, we had a couple of things come out. For example, I finally got an episode of Conversation out.
Huzzah!
I'm probably going to switch to a every other week format for Conversation while things in my life kind of balance out. There's still things like family stuff that I'm dealing with, but
I really wish you'd made that decision after pushing them back at least one more week.
One more week. It'd already been 3 weeks. It would have been 3 weeks at that time, and
I've been Damon enough. I think I'm done.
I really felt bad. He took it really personally, so I felt really bad. So I was like, I really need to get this episode out. So I finally did. It was awful though. I lost all the work I had done on it previously, so I had to start from scratch. But anyway, it's up. Ben Magnet, your episode is finally up for Conversation. Really good episode, actually. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I hope everyone enjoys it as well. Did you get a chance to re-listen to it? Ben?
Wait, me? Yeah, of course. I listened to it twice, actually.
Are you still on Twitter?
Well,
I'm
see,
kidding.
I don't listen to our content, so Ben can listen to it for twice to make up for me.
Yeah, that's true. So that's up, and then we have 2 episodes of Fake Nerds Watch. We have a you can go back to Twitter now, Ben. We have a Fake Nerds Watch for Lower Decks, which I did with.
You really can. It's fine.
Yeah, We have a Fake News Watch for Lower Decks, right? We didn't do What If till the other day. Yeah.
What if will be up tomorrow?
Yeah. So Lower Decks episode 2 is up. It went up this week. Episode 3 will be recorded soon and go up soon. What If as well. So yeah, check that out. I talked with Downright Nerdy and Cookie from Just a Little Podcast.
Yes, I was gonna tell you if you forgot. Just a quick, this is just to share with whoever gives a shit in our listener base. Something that frustrates me about the format that we do these in now is that when we are making the videos, like ones for Fake Nerds Watch and stuff, and we record them privately so I can edit them to make them look nice and put them up and all that set up later, which the only thing we don't do that way is the podcast. I can't download those things to my computer for 12 hours after they've gone to YouTube. I can't download it immediately because of how long it takes to back it up on the site itself. Super frustrating. Yeah. Super frustrating because it meant that there was no world where I could get What If out today, even though we recorded it yesterday, because I was like, I can't just wake up early before I go to work and get it done. So I just can't do it. Yeah. It's stupid. It frustrates me. I hate it.
That's YouTube.
But Lower Decks is a good show so far. Really like this last episode, so I'm excited to talk about it. And our good friend, Mike Mottola. We all love Mike Mottola. You all love Mike Mottola. He came on to Fake Nerds Watch and did a special with us talking about the Disney Plus Marvel shows up to the point of the recording. So that's everything up until What If episode 2. It was a lot of fun. That's a great episode. I highly recommend it. Linked below.
If you want us to be more negative, definitely listen to that episode because I know sometimes we're super positive. It's pretty nice.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it's just kind of nice.
I was also just really glad that we brought up way more different thoughts than what we did in our. I was like, is this mostly just going to be us? Yeah, Mike. Because we did episode by episode discussions. I'm like, oh no, we got to talk about a ton of shit that we didn't really talk about on those shows.
Yeah. But that's it. That's all linked below. So check those out. Enjoy them, love them, review them, like them, whatever. Cool. Sparks?
Share 'em.
What?
You want to go with your week first?
No, I lost my boner for that. I'll do.
No, I'm right next to it. I see it.
I was looking at my list and I'm like, wow, that was this week? Okay. I did some CW catch up, which I think, if I recall correctly, is that I finished Batwoman. Season 2, that was cool.
What was it?
Batwoman?
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the whole season now was working them up to the point where they can go forward with less cast members that were originally part of the show that were deeply connected to Kate, and now everybody's more connected to the new Batwoman. We can leave all the Kate stuff behind.
That makes sense.
Her dad is leaving, Kate is leaving. They brought her back, but now she's leaving. She's going to find Bruce. The actor that played Bruce for a hot second because he was Hush, he came back and played Bruce Wayne
that's cool.
in a dream. So he's Bruce. He is Bruce of the Arrowverse. So that's interesting. It's really interesting to me that, we got Tyler Hoechlin. Figured that one out, by the way.
Hoechlin?
Oh.
Yep.
Wow.
I've been saying
I don't know.
Yep. Hoechlin. Tyler Hoechlin. Wow. As Superman in Supergirl for his guest appearance. When they cast Bruce Wayne for the Arrowverse, they cast this dude who he's fine, but nobody knows him. He's not. I wouldn't call him immediately iconic for Bruce, so it's kind of surprising, but it is what it is. Batwoman did some nice poetry stuff with how Kate's story ended up with Alice.
Poetry and rhymes,
which is neat. I respect it. It was cool. Flash is a show. I
feel like
certainly by definition.
I feel like everybody that I know who watches that show more than you is just hate watching that show at this point. Because it's every week I'm just man, this show exists for sure. And I'm like, that's so sad.
I'm definitely at a point with Flash where I'm I don't honestly, I might not have come back for Flash next season if they hadn't announced what they announced in the news, which we'll talk about later. I finished Godzilla Singular Point. I need to watch it again. It's a solid anime. I I think it does a lot of really great show a callback stuff. I've said that before. I will say now that I think it does it both to its benefit and maybe a little bit to its detriment, in the sense of like some things that characters are doing, when I really like think about it, I'm like, this is kind of just like business to keep you around and less like character stuff. There's one particularly weird thing where like a guy created an AI thing that he made totally accessible to anybody. This very smart girl decides to download it, and then it becomes her like AI companion who helps her save the world. But the other guy created it, but she's the person who really utilizes it to the best of its ability.
Okay.
But the other guy is a main character using the AI, a different version of the AI in a different way, in a less intelligent way, I'll say.
Okay.
It's weird.
But that AI
weird.
becomes
a weird setup.
But that AI becomes something important.
Yes, yes. But I won't say anything about that. But like, it's weird the way that the connections like play out there, and it's like her intelligence and her relevance to like discovering what's going on with the kaiju and things like that feels like it's exemplified by the AI created by another dude rather than by her own merits.
Okay.
And that's one of the things that kind of bums me out about it.
Gotcha.
Because this AI created by another dude who we're also following, but she's using it.
It's like not letting her discover it or whatever.
It's like giving her the cheat codes for her to launch ahead rather than her doing all the work. Which is fine, but it's weird that it's this other guy's AI thing. I don't know why she couldn't have her own thing. Anyway, it's a little strange, but it's very Showa. It's very Showa to do that kind of shit. So
I'm really glad you finished it. I really like that show.
Yeah, I liked it too. I thought it was really cool. The animation is top notch. I watched the first episode of the new season of The Owl House because season 2, not all of season 2, but the first 10 episodes of season 2 are now available on Disney Plus. So I started watching season 2 of The Owl House, and that show is still real fucking good.
How many episodes in the first season?
They're not done releasing it because they're on a mid-season break.
How many episodes are out?
10.
Oh, that's easy.
So the 10 now are available on Disney Plus, and there's more coming. And season one was 16.
No, that's what I was asking. How many seasons? Sorry. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm
only on episode 4 of season 1, so I'm the wrong person to ask.
Yeah, I want to say it's 16.
I think I'm going to start that soon because everyone seems to really.
That's awesome. I think you would. I think you would get a lot out of it.
I was 3 episodes in, and like by 10-15 minutes in episode 1, I'm like, no, the show's great. I absolutely loved it. I took a while. It took I want to say 2 or 3 episodes of me to really get into what was it, Gravity Falls. You guys know I love Gravity Falls, but it took a few episodes for me to get into that. And then with Owl House, 15 minutes in episode 1, I'm like, nah, it's got me. I want to go dive head first into this.
Got you on the reel.
Yeah, I think it's really good. We watched What If. There's an episode out tomorrow where we discuss it. So check that out. I read a pretty decent chunk of Reign of X comics. I'm still behind, but
You're probably more ahead of me then.
No, I'm not. I still haven't even touched the first Wave of X.
Oh,
because I'm still going through it in order. But I'm a big leap was taken.
Good.
And I'm overall pleased.
I saw you reading New Mutants, and that's pretty much everyone's favorite book right now.
I do love me some New Mutants.
That is the promise that the X line.
I'm in the Farouk times.
Oh yeah, the Shadow King stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff is so good. Oh my god.
Yeah. So it's all good. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is Ryan and I together. We did something this week, which is we finished Motherland Fort Salem.
Woo! This is the one
2.
piece of entertainment that I did this week. That's not a video game.
That was some finale, man.
Yo, that finale is so good. I'm gonna get real for a second. Oh man, that finale is so good. I don't remember the last time that something hit me so hard in a TV show that made me really, really sad. And you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I do.
It's the death of a character, and it's so unexpected, and the way it happens is so traumatic and sad. And it's so well done. And I'm like, oh my god, this is this is again why when I think of entertainment and how art can impact you, I'm like, oh, this is it, baby. And I'm so happy it's getting at least one more season.
Yeah.
Nobody watches the show, and it makes me sad.
Coming back for a third and final season, which I'm glad that it's at least getting that.
Mm-hmm.
It remains something where I'm like, I want movies.
I
want comics. I want more shows. There's this character on it who is I'm sure we've made allusion to her before. She is the head of the witches. She's been around since the Salem witch trials. She's essentially like been the general of the military since the 1600s.
Yeah,
like it's wild.
She's like 500 years old.
It's
She's cool.
wild, and since the 1700s. But she is this incredibly talented actor who, like, her body of work, and she's an older woman, like upwards of 40, but like her body of work is so minor, and then she just has this like honest to god iconic role,
breakout performance
that is just incredible in the show. And the thing that gets me about it is that I'm like, man, see, I want movies and I want like prequels to this and everything, and she's the only actor you have to bring back because she's been there the whole time.
She's the only one. Yeah,
she's been there since the 1700s, so she has to be there at all times. But it's like, man, I want that. It's so good.
There's like an iconic painting. It's like the crossing of the Delaware with like George Washington, like that famous painting. But it's her being a witch summoning tornadoes behind her. And I'm like, I would 100% watch that prequel series of where she's in the Revolution helping Americans.
Right.
Like that's like the coolest idea ever.
And like, I want to watch that. I haven't even seen Motherland Fort Salem, but I want to see that show now. That sounds bitchin'.
It's pretty bitchin'.
Yeah. We've been tooting this horn the whole time, baby. Like you gotta watch this show.
You guys have been tooting this horn, Motherland Fort Salem horn, the same way you've been tooting Fortnite's horn. So I'm pretty sure that the second I finally jump on the Motherland Fort Salem train, I'm gonna come back here and be like, damn it.
And it's so crazy you bring up Fortnite because the main character wears a Superman skin in the final episode.
You could have said Groot skin, and I would have given you props.
It's the Superman popped in my brain. Sorry.
Yeah. So, but the second season ended out in such a incredibly emotional, very strong way. These actors are incredible. This team is incredible. It's wild that this show exists. It's wild the way this show is heading into its third season. The choices it made.
Mm-hmm.
There's some really great stuff ahead.
Oh yeah.
Truly, I struggle to think of a show on Freeform I think that has been this solid. This is top tier television.
Every episode, it does something where I'm like, this is a Disney Channel show.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I cannot believe it. Like, this is like, it's not rated R, but like, it's mature and it does like really like graphic things and like it deals with like serious subject matters. And again, it's
oh my god, there's this part where we flash back to that character we're talking about. Her name is General Alder. We flash back to her in one of the early war days, and she comes back to her home, and a bunch of her sisters have been burned, and like
she's just in a field of like, burning witches.
It is well made. Like at first we thought, oh, they're just like propped up. I thought they were propped up props.
Yeah,
on the cross. One of them starts like moving and writhing in pain, and I'm like, oh my god, Disney made this.
Really like evocative like imagery. And I'm just like, oh man, it's just like, it's cool that this exists. I'm really happy this got to exist.
Anyway, that's
it's all happened because I watched this trailer on a lark, and that's why I watch every trailer I can just in case.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's such a good show. God, I'm so happy for all that team that they're getting at least one more go. I was really nervous we were only going to get this one season.
Yeah.
When you said it's a Disney Channel show, it reminded me for some reason of the those old Disney Channel. You're watching Disney Channel, and they do like the Mickey Mouse thing. And
yeah.
Remember thinking like the Motherland Fort Salem. You're watching the Disney Channel.
That's pretty good.
One last thing, like we've talked about it before. I know at some point, maybe this season, maybe last season. Again, like here's the other thing. It is wild how good this season is. They filmed almost all of this season during the pandemic.
Yeah,
and this season is amazing.
It is literally no different
it's
than
so good. There's one episode, and it's one we've talked about before, which is the one where they do the political rally, and you can really feel hurt by the limitations on how many people could be there.
That's fair,
and it sucks. But I don't blame them for that. But outside of that, like incredible. Like they still brought it. What an amazing choice. And
like the final episode is like a giant battle on campus.
But the last thing I wanted to mention is that like the sound design on the show always has been incredible, continues to be incredible. Every time we get introduced to like a new branch of how their magic works. So like, cause there's different people who understand different languages of witch. magic, because all magic is done through like verbal annotations, but it's not words. It's what they do with like their pitch, their tone, the way they move their voice. Like one dude sounds like a didgeridoo.
He literally sounds like a didgeridoo. It's amazing.
And he makes the earth move. But like there's the one in the finale we finally encounter. There's a character who's been there for about a season and a half, and we've never heard what their magic sounds like. We just know it's very powerful. So we don't know what it does, and we've never heard what it sounds like. And it sounds insane when it finally happens. The sound design is so good, and she just melts a dude into magma. It's insane.
Like he just spontaneously combusts in the magma, and I'm like, oh, that's why you don't do that very often, because you're insanely powerful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Can't recommend that show enough. I think it's exceptional. All 20 episodes, season 1, season 2, are on Hulu. Go watch it, please.
I'm glad that they announced the 3rd season, because I want to try and watch it before that 3rd season drops.
Hell yeah.
Ryan, you're in the same square.
Square time. So I watched Motherland Fort Salem. That's a show. And then I just mostly played comfort video games all week because work's just lame. So I revisited Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because that just got a next-gen update. So it got a PS5 update, so 4K, 60 frames per second. Game looks gorgeous. It always looked gorgeous, but now it looks even better. I forgot that like how far I was in that game. Like I already beat it. But I had like a Ghost Rider flaming horse and had like a flaming mace. So I was just going around just killing fools with this Ghost Rider. I'm like, yeah, this game's really cool. I didn't buy the DLC, which I originally was going to, because it's not on sale, and it's still like $40 for like a 4-year-old game. So I'm gonna wait for another sale, because there's like a sale like every other week on the PlayStation Store. So that was fun. I played a little Fortnite. I played a lot of Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and I shouldn't, because I'm going to be playing that for my eventual series, but I just really wanted to play it because like it has Ghost Rider in it, and I wanted to do something with Ghost Rider because I've still spent all week reading more Ghost Rider comics. And I want to talk about real quick, not Ghost Rider, I want to talk about Marvel Unlimited and how great of an app it is. Not just because it has every comic you could possibly want from Marvel Unlimited, even 3 months ago, which is why I'm probably going to cut a lot of books, because I have like 100 books here that I still haven't read. I'm like, if I'm not reading them, I can read them on Marvel Unlimited for $10 a month. Anyway, Marvel Unlimited is great because it has all these comics, but it also breaks them down into series. So, right, I want to read Ghost Rider. Okay, here's a 1973 Ghost Rider. Here's 1990 Ghost Rider. It can break it down by character. Okay, do I want Danny Ketch, or do I want Johnny Blaze? It also breaks it down by appearance. So I've read all Ghost Rider's main series, but like it's going to be impossible for me to just find like, oh, he's in X-Men 157 or something. They list every single Ghost Rider appearance in order too. So after I read every series, I pick up X-Men 15.1, which is a 0.1 issue that the Marvel did in the 2000s, which was really stupid. But it's the Lady Ghost Rider Alejandra Jones, and she's got the Medieval armor, and she's hanging out with the Genesis X-Men. And I'm just like, oh God, this is great. Marvel Unlimited is such a great app for just randomly picking comics. They have a randomized button where you can pick one of like the 30,000 comics. And I do that all the time just to pick something. And a lot of times they're bad, but a lot of times they're good. I just think it's a great app, and I'm so thankful because Ghost Rider is a character who doesn't have as many appearances as you think for how prevalent he is in media. He has more movies than other characters, but like honestly, Danny Ketch has like 100 issues max. And I'm like, yo, and now I'm at the point where I'm like, oh my God, now I want to collect every single issue of Danny Ketch because he rules. So now I'm going to start going to Frankenstein's band. So if you want to hit me up, I'm in collector mode. Matt
well, I'll be hit.
Yeah,
good. I'm
more of a Phantom Rider, Carter Slade kind of guy. So
Yeah, he's old, and they retcon him to be Ghost Rider. It's interesting because Phantom Rider is like an old like old school character that they repurposed for new stuff.
Well, he was Ghost Rider, and then they did Johnny Blaze, and then they're like, same thing.
Yes, yeah, but he wasn't. It's not the same thing. They retconned it, much like the Charlatan characters and all that stuff with DC. But yeah, Ghost Rider is just really cool. And then we had that Midnight Suns announcement this week, which we talked about in a Gamescom episode, which will come out soon.
Gamescom episode out tomorrow.
Yeah, we're talking about a bunch of games that got announced, but yeah, it's just such a good time to be a Ghost Rider fan because like a lot of it's coming back up, coming up Millhouse, baby. I think that's it. I probably did other stuff.
Didn't you play another Marvel game that just came out?
I don't know.
It's on your phone.
Oh, I sure did. Yeah, Marvel Future Revolution. I played it for like 2 hours. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. That is without a doubt the best looking phone game I've ever played. That straight up looks like not PS5 quality yet, but like that could be a PS4 game that they ported to the phone. I would believe it. It's insane. It has great customization. It's got all the customization that I want from Marvel's Avengers, which is like, you know, the game I play all the time. But it's like a big multiverse story. It's about Secret Wars. It's about one planet and how every hero lives on this planet. So that's why there's a bunch of them. Great customization. You can play a Storm, and she has all the great looks. Really great game. Really well written. Great cutscenes. I'd actually recommend you guys download it and at least play like the first level, because it's like a big Avengers story. Like it's excellent. Like it's truly like high quality shit. And then the rest of the game's like mobile game, you know, stuff. But like the first level is like, mwah! It's like incredible. Thank you.
Did you play Wakanda Forever?
Yeah, that came out weeks ago. I already talked about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember.
Yep.
Ben, do you want to go next?
Yeah. Yeah. Blah, blah. So speaking of video games, I also beat a video game this week. I beat Metroid Samus Returns on my 3DS. So now I am 2 games behind getting ready for Metroid Dread. And I started playing Super Metroid this week. Or not this week. I started playing it last night. And man, that game is still really, really good. This is the first time I've ever played Super Metroid. And a lot of the times where I see YouTubers and retro gamers talk about Super Metroid, they put Super Metroid like higher than Super Mario World. To them, that's like the best game on the Super Nintendo, bar none. And to be perfectly honest, going into it, I was a little nervous because after everyone would overhype Super Mario 64 for me, I love Super Mario 64, but I have a few more problems with it than say someone who grew up with it. Playing Super Metroid, I'm like, man, this game is really, really good. There are a few gripes, but it's gripes of the time. Like in Super Metroid, there's an ability that Samus has where you wall jump, where you can jump from wall to wall. It's unless you're a speedrunner, you've been playing this game since the 1994 when the game first came out. It's really easy to do, but for me, I still just can't really nail it. There are times I do nail it. There are times where it just won't freaking go, and it sucks and it hurts my thumb when I'm trying to push on the D-pad so I can go one way, but I'm going the opposite direction. And there are times where the platforming is a little bit stiff, but once again, it's 1994. I can forgive that. But besides that, everything about this game, the atmosphere, the combat is gorgeous. So yeah,
my brain is working overtime to try to put D-pad and the platform is stiff into a dick joke.
Please don't.
Sorry, Ben.
It's all right. So yeah, I did that. I recorded another episode of Basement Arcade Pause Menu with my friend Allie. That should be coming up after Howard Scott Warshaw's. The reason why I brought that up is because time zones suck. For her, it was 7 o'clock in the evening, but she lives in Australia. So for me, it was 2 o'clock in the morning, right when I got home from work. And it's a great episode. Can't wait for that to go up. But yeah, that was fun. And you guys are also going to be happy. I finally started reading Dune this week.
Oh, good.
I'm not super far, but I started reading it. I'm going to try and get a whole. I'm going to definitely. Well, obviously, I'm going to get that done before our deadline when the movie comes out. But I'm going to try and get books read, or at least like a few chapters of Dune read a night, maybe some books read another night, and then just like alternate that because I too have a big ass stack of comics.
You got like almost 2 months, Ben. You don't have to read like a chapter every single night. Like you got,
well,
you got time.
To. Well, I know,
Okay,
but I want to. Cool. Like today, it was like because my weekends are I'm still kind of stuffed on the weekends. I have stuff to prepare for the show, and also I got house chores, I got other stuff. And like last night, I was like, you know what? I finally have some time myself. I'm gonna play Metroid. And then it turned into 4 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I should probably go to bed right now.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's. Did I do it? No, I did. What if we did Gamescom? Yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
I finished Metroid and started Super Metroid. Now once I beat Super Metroid, I got one more game left, and then I'm ready for Dread.
You gotta play Metroid Other M.
No.
Because you talked about games, I actually forgot to bring this up last week, but I completed Lego Marvel Superheroes 100%.
Nice.
I'm very excited about that because I got all the characters and all the gold bricks, and I was like, why am I still 99.8%? What the hell?
What was the 0.2 that you were missing? I'm very curious.
I was missing the regular Grandmaster because I had the Ragnarok Grandmaster, but I didn't have the regular one. And
what did you do to get him?
So what you have to do is you have to go. So there are battle arenas separate from the game that you can do. You have to complete one, and you unlock the Grandmaster.
Oh.
Easy.
So I was like, oh shit, okay, got to do that. So I did that, and it was a little weird, but I did it and I got it, and I was very excited because I was like,
Nice.
yay, look at all these characters. I got Ghost Rider, I got Phantom Rider, I got Grandmaster, I got Aunt May. I got Aunt May.
Wow.
It's a multiversal story, so there's a lot of really fun characters, and I unlocked a ton. Having Sparky and Cosmo together was really fun because Cosmo doesn't do anything, but Sparky does.
No.
What?
That doesn't make sense. Cosmo's been a guardian for like a decades.
Yeah, but they can't. They don't have. There's no like. Oh, you know what? He can do like mental things. Like he can move things with his mind.
I was gonna say he's got powers.
But Cosmo can like fly and shoot lasers. And Sparky, I said that right. Whatever.
Sparky can shoot lasers. Got it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of really cool, like, characters and whatnot. That was the more fun thing for me to do. The gold bricks were difficult, mostly because the puzzles in the Lego open worlds are frustrating to me. They're just kind of like, gotta do this talk show where you get a seashell, gotta get a lot of seashells, and I'm like, I don't want to get your fucking seashells.
Well, you want that 100%, so you do actually.
I did want that 100%, so I did it, completed all the levels, got the extra levels that came with the movies. So now I feel like I'm prepared for Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga.
Same franchise, makes sense.
Well, no, because I've never completed one of these Lego games 100%. I only completed the earlier ones because all you have to do is collect all the things within the levels.
Yeah, they're not.
Now that you have an open world to do like races and puzzles and things like that, and I've just found that frustrating for so long. I never did the Lord of the Rings ones or the Hobbit ones. So I just didn't. I just played the levels, stopped playing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to prepare myself for that kind of open world again. So I chose Lego Marvel because it had Kang and I was in a Kang mood.
Yeah, gotcha.
So I did that. I watched speaking of Star Wars, actually, I watched the Disney Gallery Mandalorian documentary that dropped Wednesday, I believe it was, which is all about the finale of The Mandalorian and spoiler alert, Luke. And how they brought Luke back, and they used Mark Hamill, and the double they used for Mark Hamill, and the technology they used to bring him back and make him younger. Filoni made the internet very angry today, even though this interview's been out for a couple of days, when he was like, Ahsoka is Luke's senior as far as lightsaber combat goes. And everyone's like, no, she's not. Luke's better at lightsabers. And it's like, yeah, all right, whatever.
See, I just avoid that altogether because who cares?
Yeah, I mean, seriously, who cares? But what Filoni was talking about was, I thought, really cool, with the Luke, like chopping down all the things. He was like, we wanted to make sure he got better, but not too much better because nobody's training him in lightsaber combat. So he's doing the same lightsaber moves he did in Return of the Jedi, but nothing too crazy like we see with Ahsoka. But he's more powerful with the Force, so he was doing Force stuff. So, it's cool. I found it to be really candid, surprisingly. Jon Favreau was very just a personal with what he was talking about, like the responsibilities of bringing back Luke, how they thought about how they had it in the scripts in season 1, the struggles with the technology they had to bring him back. I appreciate documentaries like that, and I like to highlight them because too often, especially with Disney, we get like the candy coated ones, like everything was fine and we thought this would be cool, so we did that, and we thought this would be cool, so we did that. And all too rarely we see the ones where they talk about like struggling to bring something to the screen and the pitfalls of it and whether or not it was the right choice or not. I thought that was really good.
It's mostly like, oh yeah, it was so easy. We were able to do this, and it was like like you said, they candy coat it. Instead, I like it when documentaries be like, yo, this was hard. Getting this end result worth it, but the way we got there sucked.
The Marvel TV shows are like that.
Well, specifically the Loki one, I found the Falcon Winter Soldier one to be better. The Loki one really pissed me off because you film 90% of that in a pandemic and you don't mention the pandemic once. And you're just like, we had this idea, so we did that. It's the same thing with the Rise of Skywalker one. I hate that one too because it's just like, we had an idea for this scene, so here's how we did that scene. Cool, and then this scene, and then this scene, and then this scene.
Well, at least with that one, like they couldn't really tell you what happened because
No, that's true.
Get mad about all the different versions that definitely got messed around with before they came out with the final product that half the population doesn't like.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was good. I recommend it. It's good. Even if you don't like, I don't like the decision to bring Luke back, so at least so soon, or as Mark Hamill. But I really enjoyed that documentary. I recommend it. I watched. I'll do this one. I watched The Scorpion King for the first time. I've never seen it before.
Really?
Yeah. Dwayne
Are
Johnson.
you talking about the Mummy Scorpion King or the Rock Scorpion King?
The Rock Scorpion King.
The movie called The Scorpion King. What do you mean?
I mean, technically, he said the same thing because The Mummy Returns is the mummy is the one where he shows up as a scorpion.
No, I know,
King.
but that's called The Mummy Returns. It's not called The Scorpion King.
So I watched The Scorpion King, the first Dwayne Johnson. Well, the first Scorpion King movie, and the only one with Dwayne Johnson.
Mm-hmm. There's like what, 6 of them?
I was kind of, when it started, I realized how much lower the budget was compared to the Mummy movies, and I was like, okay, so it's lower budget. Okay, cool. And then there's kind of a fun action sequence. I was like, okay, so we're kind of goofing around in this movie. All right, so I'm not taking this as seriously as I would The Mummy or Pirates of the Caribbean or whatever. And then it just got worse, and then it just kept getting worse. It was not good.
Yeah.
I'm confused by the decision to make the story about a heroic Scorpion King. And because there's nothing in the movie that would lead you to be like, okay, so this is the dude who tries to destroy Egypt and then is like, I'm going to make a pact with Anubis by eating a scorpion and then become a weird scorpion hybrid monster. There's nothing.
The idea was that this was going to be a franchise that leads to him how he got there, I think.
Well, and even beyond that, like the Mummy King, sorry, Jesus,
The Mummy
opening is all about how he was this hero of the people, his people. That's what they thought of him. And then
Black Adam.
They went into a fight he couldn't win. And out of desperation, he made a deal with Anubis, and then became a slave to Anubis. So it's supposed to be a tragedy fall of like this heroic figure.
Darth Vader.
But the Scorpion King movie is the tale of how he became hero of the people.
Yeah,
Scorpion
I see.
King.
That's
Not
why they
good.
make so many. Yeah, they made a lot of straight to DVD sequels. Ben, you are right. There's like 5 straight to DVD sequels with a new MMA wrestler every time. That's the guy.
Yep.
And I watched all of those too. No, I didn't. I'm not doing that.
A couple years ago, I was gonna make like a video essay of like, I'm just gonna watch all these movies and see what's up, and then I realized like I don't need to do that.
Yeah, I like my time.
Yeah.
I rewatched the first Candyman film. We discussed it in October on this show, and Zara hadn't seen it. And going into this new one, I wanted to make sure that she had saw at least the first one. So we watched that. Great movie. Everything I said still stands. I watched The Green Knight. I went to theaters, finally watched The Green Knight. Good movie. Don't have much to say on that one. What could you say, honestly?
I don't know. What could you say?
Well, it's
Apparently,
good
people
movie.
Freak me out.
Yeah.
What did you say?
I told you this after we came out of it.
Yeah.
Apparently, big people freak me out.
Yeah, there's something weird about. I get it. Like there's something weird about unnatural about those giants, which I think helps.
Well, I was saying
those
because I was saying like when Attack on Titan first came out, some of that early stuff really gets me because it's so uncomfortable. And I've seen digital artists who are like making animation projects. You'll see things like this on like cell phone videos and things like that they'll repost of their animation projects.
Yeah.
But a lot of people were inspired by Attack on Titan because they're like coming out of like they're heading into college. So one of the big things they were watching were influenced by was Attack on Titan. So their animation projects are these things of like POV of you driving in a car down a road
Evangelion.
and a Titan like a big naked person's foot just steps over and you're like swerve and then you turn and there's just a huge head and I'm like there is something uncomfortable.
There's a
about that
viral
media
video.
to me.
There's a viral video going around on Twitter right now. It's an old video, but it's two Avas fighting in like on a in front of a highway and a guy's just driving and the critics, what would you do if you saw this? And then
Yeah,
somebody
I saw
said,
that.
it's none of my business. Not my
No,
fight.
Ryan, I've seen that video circulating quite around. I was like, man, I know Ryan has seen this, but every time I see it, I was like, man, Ryan would appreciate this.
Yeah, but I've seen a few of those animation projects where they're very specifically inspired by Attack on Titan. They're big naked people.
Yeah, I've seen some. Yeah.
Really unnerving footage.
Now, Brandon, you sent me a reel one time of this giant head eating a camera, like eating you when you're holding this camera, and I did not appreciate that.
What'd you say, Sparks?
No, I didn't say.
How could you do this to us? How could you do this to us?
What did you say?
Watch the rewind.
No, it won't pick up because Ben talked over it.
It's best that it doesn't.
Yeah, good movie. Enjoyed it. And then I watched I think the my favorite movie of the week, which is I watched the Witcher anime, Witcher Nightmare of the Wolf. That just premiered on Netflix, I think last week. I totally forgot it dropped. I really liked The Witcher season 1, so I wanted more in that world. Studio Mir is great. I really like their animation projects. They're doing Young Justice season 4, so at least the animation will be good.
Cool.
And
I'll just mute then.
yeah, you're right. Just like good. Look how good this animation looks. And it's awesome. It's really cool. I'm really into Vesemir as a character.
Brandon, you desperately need to play The Witcher 3, and you need to do it before time runs out. Because I need you to play The Witcher 3, because if you love The Witcher so much, there's literally a game that explores all of that way better than the shows even do. And it's like, it's a great game and like one of the greatest games ever made. And it's always on sale.
There's no guarantee I'm going to like the game though. I've seen some games
that are like just like it.
Well, I've seen some gameplay, and like I do remember one of the things that turned me off of the game was that someone described it very similar to Shadow of Mordor.
You didn't like Shadow of Mordor?
I really didn't like playing that.
Man, you are alone on that one. That's crazy.
I'm aware. I'm not willing to die on a hill or anything.
No,
I'm not trying to say I'm right.
I'm just sad that like that The Witcher exists in like its best medium, and just you'll never experience it. It bums me out.
Well, arguably the best mediums would be the books, wouldn't they?
Let's ask other people that.
I don't mean to get into a debate about what Witcher medium. I'm just saying how much I really like the movie. I thought the character of Vesemir was a lot of fun. I really like the voice actor they have for him, who plays him in season 1, which I didn't remember. There's a young Vesemir in a flashback in season 1. And he reprises his role. I really like the kind of like the swashbuckling Witcher character. I thought that was a really fun character to play off of after we've seen a whole season of Geralt. And then I was watching there was one girl, I forgot her name at this point, and she was saying and she was talking, and I was like, man, this girl sounds very familiar. Who the hell is she? And she's the president from Battlestar Galactica, which I looked up later. I was like, oh, I haven't seen you since Battlestar Galactica. That's crazy. Nice. I thought that was really fun. But highly recommend that movie. Really excited for Witcher season 2. And that's my week.
Beautiful.
Shall we get into our news then?
Let's do it. I'm always ready.
All right. I should have been prepared. I am prepared. All right. Come on. You stupid tablet. What are you saying, Sparks?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we got some sad news up top.
Yeah, we do.
Charlie Watts.
Oh, hey, good job.
The drummer for the Rolling Stones, passed away this week at the age of 80.
Yep.
This one hurt. I mean, it didn't hurt as much for me as Eddie Van Halen's death last year, but I did see him. I saw the Stones live in 2006 at Dodger Stadium, and it was an amazing show. And for me, just a chance to see any version of the Rolling Stones, because we all know how much it's a miracle that Keith Richards and Mick Jagger are still alive and walking around today after all the substance abuse they went through back in the 60s and 70s.
Real quick, I want to tell you Keith Richards' story, and I don't know if this is true, but I heard it on a podcast. Keith Richards was so rich, and he was so high all the time that his blood was so toxic that he actually went to Europe because he couldn't do this in America. He went to Europe and he had all of his blood taken out and replaced with new blood, and it was only something that he can afford to do in Europe. That's why he's alive, because he's replaced his body multiple times.
I believe it. Those rich people are crazy.
Richard, the closest thing to a living vampire.
For real.
You know what? With Keith Richards, I can 100% believe that.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the same with the Steven Tyler. I remember he was on, I think it was James Corden. He said he's like snorted half of Peru back in the 70s when he was super big on cocaine. But we're not talking about him. We're talking about Charlie. An amazing drummer for the Rolling Stones. Like every time I hear the opening drum beats for Sympathy of the Devil, or one of my favorite songs of all time, Gimme Shelter, is just there are so many banger Rolling Stones songs. I mean, 80 is not a bad it's still a good long life, especially what he did, because he was part of one of the most popular bands in the entire world for so long. And it's like, it sucks that he's gone, but damn, what a legacy has he left.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then just today, it's reported that Ed Asner, an actor, such a long history of work, large body of work, wonderful man, wonderful actor, passed away at the age of 91.
Yeah. This was wild that it came days after they released like the first like a wide trailer footage for the Doug Days.
Oh, yeah.
Coming to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's Carl.
I didn't watch that. Is he in it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
He's playing Carl in it. Yeah. That'll be the last time he plays Carl.
Yeah. I just didn't know if it was just Doug or not.
Yeah. He is. We saw a little bit of it during the Disney conference thing that they did last year, and he was in that. So yeah, wild. So I think that is his final performance.
He's got his IMDb page has a lot of things coming out soon. I don't know how much of it he filmed though.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Right.
Working into his 90s. What a guy.
Yeah. He just posted on Twitter just recently. He was like, "Hey, doing great, guys. Be cool." And he passed away in his sleep.
Yeah.
He had a big career. So
yeah, I mean,
living legend.
Yeah. At least it was peaceful. But all I know is that the next time I watch Up, that the wedding scene, the first 5 minutes. I mean, it's already sad as to begin with. It's gonna be even more sad now, knowing that he's
double sad.
Gone.
I will always remember him as the voice of Granny Goodness.
Holy shit, that's right.
Also,
the voice of J. Jonah Jameson.
J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
Also, Perry White.
Hold on. What was he the voice of J. Jonah Jameson?
Spider-Man,
the animated 90s cartoon.
Do you hear? Seriously, that was him?
Yep.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
And Perry White in All-Star Superman.
Yep.
Damn.
Yeah, he had like a career resurgence as a voice actor in his like 70s, and it's just like, how cool is that? Like,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
I never knew that he was JJ. So like, oh my gosh, so that's probably him at the at Universal Studios or Florida. There's a Spider-Man ride there that has the animated voice actors. So that's probably him as J. Jonah Jameson. Holy shit.
Yeah, it
Cool.
might be.
I've never been there.
Oh man.
Yeah, huge body of work. Acting since the 40s, or the 30s, or something like that.
Too much acting.
Yeah, true. He loved it.
Yeah.
He loved it.
He loved what he truly did. So he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna retire. But it's like, but you're 80, so
Yeah. Well, sad nonetheless. 91 though. That's not a bad way to go out.
What?
I just looked it up. It's not him.
He did something.
It's Chris Edgerly. No, for the ride.
For the ride. Oh, okay.
For the ride in Florida, it's not
it.
him. It's Chris Edgerly as Peter Parker and as J. Jonah Jameson.
What a get for that guy.
Interesting.
They didn't want to pay anybody.
91's not a bad age to go out on.
It's not.
There's tons of really, really hilarious interviews over the last just couple decades of Ed Asner. Check them out. I retweeted one where he talks about pissing on someone. It's really funny. What a guy.
The one that I've seen floated around that I really like is like, "Hi, I'm Ed Asner." Takes out knife.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Good sense of humor. Yeah.
Yeah, funny guy. All right. Yeah, he started on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. He's huge on that show. He's a great comedian.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, off of that then.
Off of that, then.
Cobra Kai was renewed for a 5th season ahead of its season 4 premiere.
Holy shit, that started as a YouTube show.
Yeah,
It
it
did.
did.
Great, good for that show, man.
Yeah.
I knew the contingency when the showrunners were like, we're going to leave YouTube and go to Netflix, was the deal was that Netflix was going to give them a 4th season because YouTube wasn't willing.
Nice.
They're like, we're going to cancel you after 3, but Netflix was like, we'll give you the 4th season.
Beautiful.
And so I thought that when they gave him the 4th season, that would be it, because Netflix doesn't like to continue shows much past 3.
Yeah. But it's doing numbers for Netflix.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm sure it's not that expensive because considering it started as a YouTube show, right?
Yeah, and you can definitely see there was a production. The budget was higher in season 3. I can only imagine what that production budget looks like in season 4.
It's gonna look just like a movie. It's gonna look great.
Yeah.
Nice.
I do think that. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, people are like, the show keeps getting more popular. They're getting Hillary Swank back, no doubt. There's no way they're
100%.
not getting Hillary.
Oh, yeah.
No way.
100%. They when they made the move to Netflix, they made it clear that Karate Kid 4 was canon to the Cobra Kai verse,
Nice.
or the Miyagi verse as they call it. And I was like, they think Netflix can get them Hillary Swank. 100%.
Season 5, like that's prime time. You're at season 5 on Netflix. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they already got Elizabeth Shue in season 3.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So good for her. Okay, and they got the guy who played bad guy in movie 3. The dude with the ponytail. He's coming back in season 4.
Bad boy.
No. Mother, as we talked about in the beginning, Motherland Fort Salem was renewed for a 3rd and final season.
Great that it got another season. Sad that it's the last one.
Yeah.
Glad that they know that it's the last one. Still really bummed that it's like the last one.
I'm super glad that it's not a make season 3 and then get canceled, so like they can actually properly end it the way they want to.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm definitely in that boat. It's just it's also the kind of thing where like I hope that they end the story for these characters in a satisfying way, but I hope that they don't like close the book on like,
Open-ended enough
on the world, because I'm like, I want them to leave that door open.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
totally.
want this world to be revisited.
Yeah.
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is getting a new adaptation in the form of Nautilus.
Ooh.
Disney Plus is developing a new 10-part live-action series based on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which will be written and executive produced by James Dormer. Which I don't know what he's done before.
James Dormer. I don't know.
I got
Not
nothing.
Jamie Dornan.
That's who I was thinking in my brain.
Yeah. He hasn't done. I didn't see a lot of things that we would have recognized him from, so I didn't put it there. But cool.
Did anyone ride the submarines at Disneyland before they turned it into Finding Nemo? Because I went on it like once, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah. It's been a long time. I think the last time we've had like a big time Nautilus was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen 20 years ago.
Yep.
So I think it's ripe for a new league.
Well, when was Journey 2? When was
Does Journey 2 have
2?
the Nautilus?
Yes, it does.
Wow, I didn't see that movie. That's crazy.
That's fair.
That's crazy.
In Atlantis: The Lost Empire, do they call that ship the Nautilus, or is it just like the ship?
It's just a ship.
Okay.
It's a submarine.
The Shipolus.
I want Nicolas Cage to play Captain Nemo.
That'd be
Oh
so
my
sick.
god, yes.
That'd be change production.
So that doesn't come from nowhere. When he was doing press stuff for Mandy, he was asked a question: "What is like the one role you want to be able to do before you leave the
Captain Nemo?"
And he said that the number one role was 100% Captain Nemo. He wants to play a man obsessed with the sea.
I love it.
I want that for him. I doubt this is the project that's going to do it.
Probably. That'd be
But
really
if
cool,
it
though.
is, that'd be awesome.
That'd be great.
A24's Nautilus.
Yeah.
Okay. Got some Castlevania news.
Ooh.
As we know, that 4th and final season has aired, and they're entering into a new spinoff.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought this was interesting, so I put it in here. Adi Shankar, producer of Dread and Castlevania, the showrunner for Castlevania, is suing Kevin Cold, who is the executive producer of Castlevania and the upcoming show.
Oh.
For the upcoming spinoff. Adi Shankar claims they had a verbal agreement that Shankar would be given creative approval of any spin-offs. And this guy went ahead without him.
Sounds like a lawsuit to me.
Does indeed.
Yeah.
I thought this was really interesting because I had assumed that when Netflix went forward with the spin-off idea, it was to leave Warren Ellis behind and keep everyone else.
That's what we all assumed. Yeah.
It's weird because honestly, like, you could have just kept calling it Castlevania
with a colon something else.
Yeah.
And that's the spin-off. Yeah.
Like Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Yeah,
like, I don't really, honest to God, like, having seen the end of the fourth season, and knowing like who is the main person for this spin-off series, I'm like, that's just season 5.
Yeah.
It's just season 5.
Yeah. Well, Adi Shankar agrees with you,
but
so he's
comes
missed.
from a lawsuit, so I guess, whatever. I don't know. I'm not jazzed about the future of that show right now. So,
Ryan, which Castlevania game has you play as Richter?
There's a lot, man. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. I just thought that was interesting.
No, yeah, I didn't see that. That means that going over the guy who like helped create that series is really weird. That's kind of weird to me. Yeah.
He's the showrunner of the first show. Like, I understood wanting to split from Warren Ellis.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. I'm confused why you want to split from Adi Shankar.
It makes me wonder if Adi Shankar is okay with Warren Ellis. I definitely hope it's not that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't want to think about that one.
Ben.
Yes.
One of your favorite books, Salem's Lot, is getting a adaptation. As you know, I'm sure, because Gary Dauberman from the Annabelle movies
and something
and It.
And
another one of your favorites, Ben, is doing this adaptation. Well, anyway, you'll be excited to know that Lewis Pullman, who is the son of Bill Pullman, has been cast as Ben Mears, who discovers his hometown of Jerusalem's Lot is being victimized by vampires. But you know that.
Can you repeat? Is this a movie or a TV show?
It's a movie.
Okay, because we have that Jerusalem's Lot TV show coming out soon.
Mm-hmm.
Chapelwaite, yeah. It's just so funny that like, we're just gonna make the sequel, but it's not tied to that thing. Like, it's just all over the place.
It remains, and I know this is true of our friend Matt. Like, it remains so frustrating that the obvious like cinematic universe project you should be doing is the Stephen King works, and it's just never going to happen. It's never going to take off.
Dark Tower
because you need the Dark Tower at the center of it, but even then, all of the rights to all of them would have to be under one studio umbrella for them to get on board with it.
Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah, but they're not. Like, other people, like those rights are all over the place. So,
Epics, Sony, everyone. Anyway, that's really exciting. Ben, you've read Salem's Lot, right?
No.
Oh, wow.
No, he's only read the prequel.
It's a short story. I understand.
The short story, yeah. Novella.
Ben prefers his King horror in bite sizes.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's a vampire joke.
I get it.
It's been a while since we've done this bit.
Oh, there was a funny joke in there's a joke in DuckTales where a character's name was Poe and he got turned into a raven, and I started laughing, and I started laughing, and Zara was like, "What's so fun?"
Anyway. I genuinely long to outlive Ben by like a week, just to ensure that after he passes, I can make sure there's a plaque put up that says, "Here lies Stephen King's best friend."
I'm hoping that lives to 102, so you're gonna have to be at like 102 plus a few weeks, my friend.
Oh, bold, Ben, bold.
I want to be 100 years old. I'm sorry.
Oh, sure you are. We're all gonna live to 100 in this generation. 100%. Yeah, the way the Earth's going. You bet.
I said I want to live to over 100. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I don't know when the fuck I'm gonna die.
On his tombstone, it'll say, "Here lies Stephen King's best friend."
And then just a little Sonic spin dashing in grayscale.
I just need to make.
Because there's going to be gifts. There's going to be gifts on tombstones.
Oh my god, that's the future. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Actually, funny you should mention that. So in Japan, sorry, quick tangent. I just found this out. In Japan, there's recently when people have passed away, they started putting QR codes on the headstones. So if you scan the QR code, it gives you a bio and what the deceased person did in their life.
I guess, but isn't that what a tombstone is? Like beloved father and husband.
No.
No. It like gives you like it's like hey in like
an obituary.
Wikipedia.
No, but I don't need that. I don't think. What am I just gonna be in a graveyard? Yo, this one was a fireman. like
well, in 10 years I'll attach a game to it.
Oh, like movie.
Yeah.
All right. The Lion King prequel is still happening from Disney.
Oh no.
This is the prequel to the 2019 Lion King, not
Oh.
the 93.
Four. Was it 93 or 94? Sparks. 94 Lion King.
What?
When did Lion King come out? 94?
Yes. That sounds
You better know this.
I don't know it for sure. I'm not
Look it
gonna
up.
try.
Well, anyway, as we know, Barry Jenkins has been tapped to direct this film, but now they've cast Mufasa and Taka. Aaron
1994.
Aaron Pierre from the Underground Railroad, another Barry Jenkins film, has been cast as Mufasa, and Kelvin Harrison Jr. from the Trial of the Chicago 7 has been cast as Taka. If you don't know who Taka is, that's Scar. That's his original
I
name.
do like that they're calling him Taka.
Young Scar.
His name means trash.
Yep. If you were gonna say it, I was.
Yeah.
I do think that's cool that dumb freaking children's book is still canon today. His name was trash.
This film is also going to be written by Jeff Nathanson, who also wrote the 2019 film.
Cool. I'm so not interested.
I mean, can you even say that? Because did he?
Yeah, who
He
is
definitely copied and
Or
pasted.
did he just punch up the 1994 script?
And then they not get paid for it.
Punch up.
And
It's like,
and
hey, you know what the
added a
script
half
needs?
hour.
It's like, you know what the script needs? Another half an hour. I'm gonna just add some. You know what? We need to see Simba's hair. That majestic scene when it goes from the plains after the scene with Mufasa to Rafiki. That needs to be in some shit. I need to
Man,
see a dumb
I'm having an
movie.
aneurysm. We can't talk about Lion King anymore.
Oh,
I can't do it.
I forgot about that.
The less I think about the movie, the better.
I will be open to the potential for this to be good if the story is good, because this is a story that they are crafting more from. So maybe
Anything can be good.
I'm not optimistic.
Magic the Gathering.
Though, real quick though, if they make Lion Guard canon too, which means that Scar was at one point imbued with the power of the roar,
Mm-hmm.
where it's basically a superpower. I'm a little more interested.
I got a feeling they're not going to do something cool like
we
that.
made this hyper-realistic movie to give lions superpowers.
Wait, but why is the prequel movie they have powers if they don't have it in them when they're adults?
Because he was the younger sibling. And as the younger sibling, he becomes the leader of the Lion Guard. So he gets the gift of the power. And then he abused it, so it was taken away from him.
I so don't care. I'm sorry.
And then there wasn't a Lion Guard until Mufasa's youngest, right?
Simba's youngest.
Simba's
If I ever have
youngest.
kids, maybe I'll give it a shot. I'm sorry, it's not for me.
Because Simba was an only child. Well,
Yeah.
Nala. Simba was an
What?
only boy child.
Yeah.
Can we not? I think I'm just gonna have that aneurysm that Ryan's about to have.
This is how I feel when people talk about things I'm not interested in. I get that when I'm talking about like Ghost Rider or something. I get it.
I like it when you talk about Ghost Rider. Magic the Gathering, though.
Yes.
As you know, there is an animated series coming to Netflix.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
That the Russo brothers are no longer a part of.
What?
Oh no.
The Russo brothers left the project. Jeff Kline and Steve Melching have replaced them. But the news this week was that Brandon Routh has been cast as Gideon Jura in the upcoming series.
That's a
Ooh,
planeswalker.
I have a Planeswalker card. I have a deck that's all about Gideon. Ooh, okay.
You got a
I'm
big
into it.
Gideon deck. Oh yeah. I'm ready.
Uh,
I'm
Brandon-
excited for this.
Yeah, Brandon Routh, I like him a lot. He said, Gideon is known for being the strong guy who always stands up for what's right, just and isn't afraid to fight.
I'm glad because when the Magic the Gathering comic was announced months ago, like Magic is something that like I've played for years, but like again, I don't know anything about the lore, and I like that like they're trying to push to like make it an actual universe. Like they seem like Magic's been around for so long, but they've never really had like a main an entertainment push like this. So like I'll give it a shot. You know, Magic's cool, Planeswalkers and stuff.
I bought every time I go to the store, they have the comic book of Magic the Gathering, but they also have the hidden Planeswalker variants, which is of course the ones I've been picking up. My first one was the vampire from Innistrad. I forget his name, but it's a cool looking cover, and actually the book itself is very interesting. I really liked it. I'm like, this is neat. You got guilds that they gotta band together because someone's trying to kill them, and I am really looking forward to reading that second issue and buying the rest.
Love it.
Nice.
Yeah, Magic's cool.
Star Trek Prodigy was in the news this week because it announced its villains. It has cast its villains in John Noble and Jimmy Simpson.
I love Jimmy Simpson.
Yeah. Noble will play the Diviner, and Simpson will play his minion Dreadnought. They rule the mining asteroid of Tars Lamora in a merciless quest to locate the USS Protostar, the mysteriously abandoned experimental Federation starship at the center of the show.
So, sure, it's not Tarkus.
It's not.
Bummer.
Why do I know that?
John Carter.
Oh,
yeah.
The bassoon, the badoon.
Like that
hey,
movie.
both of these are terrific actors. Good for the show.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the show. Oblivion Song. If you guys don't remember Oblivion Song, it's Robert Kirkman's comic book.
I read that first issue. It was fine.
I read that first issue too, and I will agree. Jake Gyllenhaal, though, has been cast as Nathan Cole in the starring role of the Robert Kirkman adaptation.
I do like Jake Gyllenhaal a lot.
Yeah.
I bet I will like this more as a movie than a comic. I can imagine.
Yeah, I'm far more willing to give it a shot. Something about Kirkman's writing doesn't really do it for me. His current stuff, I'm loving Invincible, but for what I can't get into is the stuff he's been doing lately. I don't know why.
Have you not? Have you checked that Firepower?
Firepower? No, I haven't yet.
Jackson in the chat wants to say nice John Carter reference.
Hi, Jackson. Nice. Yeah, Firepower. I'm not caught up, but that's just Dragon Ball Z, but it's pretty cool. It's really cool. Chris Hammond's art's amazing. Yeah.
I'd probably enjoy that then.
Yeah.
But I tried Outcast, and I liked Outcast, but I didn't keep up with it. I wanted to see the show. And the Oblivion Song was just...
Show's great.
Man, I hate that show wasn't like easily accessible to watch after the first season. Like they put it on like more and more like strange channels and networks and not widely available in the United States. And I'm like, I just want to watch the rest of that show because that first season was good.
It was good.
Yeah. I heard you talking about it. I remember.
Yeah, I really liked that first season, and I liked that comic. I thought it was such a good adaptation. And
it's almost like a 1-to-1. It's very good.
Yeah, I think it had 3 seasons, and second and third seasons, like without piracy, there was no good way to watch it in the United States. And the piracy even was like the crappiest quality of piracy. And I'm like, man, this is like,
let me have it.
This sucks. Like, where is the show? I want to watch it.
For those of you who don't know, by the way, Oblivion Song is about the city of Chicago is transported to another reality. And then 10 years later, we follow Nathan Cole as he's going back and forth from that reality to ours, trying to find survivors and mostly his family.
A cool premise. The issue, the art's really great. It's just like it wasn't enough for the first issue to keep me going.
The thing that got me about Outcast, just because we brought it up real quick with Robert Kirkman, is that it's like one of the smallest casts of characters he's ever worked with.
Oh yeah.
And I think he played really well with that space.
I agree.
With a much more limited cast than he usually has. And that made Outcast like one of my favorite things he's written.
That TV show has Patrick Fugit as a star, and that dude doesn't do a lot of stuff, and he was an Almost Famous, and I love Almost Famous.
That's true.
Brent Spiner's in that show, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. We all like the Old Guard movie, right?
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
That's fun.
Well, the sequel is coming. Victoria Mahoney who was the second unit director on Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, has replaced Gina Prince Bythewood, who directed the first film, as the director of the sequel.
Well, I certainly don't like that movie that you mentioned that she worked on, but that's okay.
She apparently the first African American woman to direct a Star Wars film because she was second unit.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Still Rise of Skywalker, unfortunately. Yeah, that's cool. Like I don't necessarily know how much of the director, not that like she's a bad director, but like there wasn't like a huge style for me. So that's more like the premise of it than like getting someone in. Like I don't think we're losing a lot by getting a new director is what I mean.
Yeah,
I just hope that
that's
the
fair.
director is good.
Yeah. This is still written by Greg Rucka, obviously. The entire cast is returning. Apparently, Gina Prince Bythewood didn't return because after the first film was successful for Netflix, she got a ton of offers and didn't want to turn a lot of them down, so she just didn't have the time.
Excuse me.
Makes sense.
Sorry.
Yeah, good for her. The I love seeing a female director do well.
Yeah.
Sparks the Flash
Yeah.
was in the news this week.
Yup.
Get ready to keep hate watching the Flash. I guess
I'm not
Twitterverse.
He's the only one.
I'm watching slightly disinterestedly.
Well, a new 5-part event called Armageddon is going to start in November. It's going to kick off season 9, 8,
Season 8.
8. The big news was that the returning guest stars for the Flash. This will serve as their crossover event, I guess. Javicia Leslie will show up as Batwoman, Brandon Routh as the Atom, Cress Williams as Black Lightning, Kyler Lee
Kyler Lee.
Kyler Lee as Sentinel. I don't know who that is. That Supergirl?
That's her sister. Kara's sister.
Oh, okay. Kat McNamara as Mia Queen.
That one weirds me out, man.
Future daughter.
Osric Chow will be returning as Ryan Choi. Ryan Choi hasn't been in the franchise since Crisis, right?
Correct. I mean, everything's been kind of a mess post-Crisis because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
All these seasons. Like, Flash has not been good this season. It's been worse than it has been, and it's been lacking in quality in a lot of places prior to this season. But I do feel bad for them because I think they definitely got like just, I don't know what to do right now with the pandemic. I think that like all their plans, whatever they were thinking of, they really got pulled out, and they had 2 of their cast members decide while they were in the pandemic, hey, we're done.
Yeah.
Like, so all their story planning had to go out the window. They've kind of alluded to that, so I feel bad for them. Just watching through the season, I'm like, I'm sure this was like just super stressful for everyone and really hard, and it sucks. It sucks that this is just kind of like you had to make a season, because it really just feel like Flash maybe should have just finished the story that they got halted in from the season before, that they had the plans for. Just finish that out and done like 4 episodes and said that was the end of that season, and then gone on hiatus. That might have been the better way to do it and just give the cast a break. But they pushed through. But I'm really stoked about this announcement because, for one thing, Cress Williams is in this. And that's really great, because I was really nervous that was all just going to kind of be words like, oh, yeah, he's still part of it, so we'll bring him back. And I'm really glad
he's on
they're
the
all
Justice League.
good on it. Yeah. Well, I mean, like, again, the pandemic has made it so we don't know what that really means. Ryan's been watching Superman and Lois, and like there's no indication that that's even in the same universe, but it is.
They're I don't know if there have been any references.
Diggle's in like 2 episodes.
We haven't got there
from
yet.
where we are, yeah. But
So,
I know he's there.
So up until like episode like 12 or whatever, there's been like literally no
that's the
era references.
That's the other weird thing is like Diggle just made like the rounds and did an episode in every season. And he just like came by, and like the Batwoman one is just like him coming and swinging by Gotham and saying, "Hey, what's up, Luke Fox? How you doing? You okay? You fighting that racism?"
Just checking in.
No, he's just like, because it's right after the Black Lives Matter like stuff that they were doing, and he's like, "Yeah, you fight that racism? Good on you. All right, goodbye." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Did they Didn't they? I seem to recall that they said that he rejected the ring at the end of Crisis.
It's not clear to me yet because I haven't seen every episode he appears in.
I can, without seeing all that, I guarantee you he's Green Lantern in this crossover.
Oh yeah,
Like there's no way they set that up and then like, oh no, let's not make him Green Lantern.
He's
That'd be so.
eventually-
Because I remember reading that. I remember reading that in an interview when they were like, "Hey, we brought him back," and he was asked about the Green Lantern stuff, and he was like, "Yeah, he rejected it. He said no."
We'll see. I don't know.
It's bad.
Is the answer. But I'm stoked that this is a cool opportunity for Brandon Routh to get back in after he was unceremoniously booted from Legends of Tomorrow.
I'll watch the crossover because it's a crossover.
But which super sucks because Legends of Tomorrow is their strongest show now that Black Lightning's over.
Yeah.
I am curious if they'll bring back the actor playing his wife. Ray Palmer, he got married in his last episode is him getting married. It's one of the reasons. It's the reason in the story that he leaves the team. He marries the daughter of Dum Dum Dugan,
Damien Dark,
who's coming back. Damien Dark. He marries her daughter. Yep.
So there were two. So there's two more names. Tom Cavanaugh is returning as Reverse Flash, and Damien Dark is returning. Neil McDonough is returning as Damien Dark.
Yeah. So I love Tom Cavanaugh. I'm super sick of them bringing him back as Eobard Thawne. They did this a couple seasons ago where he was Eobard Thawne again after we'd had like Mask of Zorro guy as Eobard Thawne for a while.
Because he was the main in the second season. I remember that guy was because when I was still watching them, he was the Reverse Flash in Legends of Tomorrow because that was the big thing is that he was the villain.
And that was him teamed with Damien Dark and John Barrowman.
That was good.
And I was so confused when in Crisis on Earth X, it's Reverse Flash, but it's Tom Cavanaugh.
So I don't want to like super spoil things in Legends of Tomorrow, but Damien Dark's kind of like an ally to the heroes in Legends of Tomorrow now. So that's why it's weird if he's coming back here as a villain, unless it's like alternate universe or pre-timeline of him doing that. But again, like he literally was at Ray's wedding to his daughter. So I don't know how that...
They're just going to do some bullshit villain, just like make him a villain out of nowhere.
I hope not. I hope not, because honestly, Damien Dark had an incredible arc in that season on Legends of Tomorrow. So I really hope it's not undone.
Maybe he'll be conflicted.
That being set aside, I think it's great that we're going to get more of Cress Williams and Barry Allen playing together. I loved that little bit that we got in the Crisis episode. I've wanted the crossover that just allows those characters to play with each other. So I think that's really great. And I'm super happy for Kyler Lee because I think she's doing a great job and she's just starting to come into her own as a type of hero character now that she left the DOD on Supergirl. So the fact that she'll come over from that is awesome. And this is honestly a great opportunity for Javicia Leslie, who's going to get to bring her Batwoman to the table. And I think she's a really good Batwoman. I do think she's a good Batwoman. I think that they picked a good actress. I feel for them in this situation. I still don't know if it was the best way to go about doing things, but I do think she's a good Batwoman.
That's good.
I think she's cool. I like her. I'm excited for her to kind of be able to be her own thing now.
I wonder if this crossover will win me over.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of bummed that Capitan Love isn't coming back as Reverse Flash.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm right there with you, and I think that I think that's silly. But
yeah.
But again, like the biggest one that's weird is McNamara coming back as Mia from the future. Because it is not Mia right now. It is Mia from the future, and I'm like, what? All right. Which is really them. It feels like them just placating the like, oh, that Arrow show didn't get picked up. Bummer.
The final bit of news about this, though, is that they've cast the villain for for Armageddon in Despero. Tony Curran, who was probably will know best as Vincent Van Gogh from Doctor Who.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
He is going to be Despero.
He's good. He's very good. Despero is a big Justice League villain. So like they're gonna need all the power that they need. So like it's
the third
I'm glad that it's not like a small threat for this crossover. It's like, oh, bring them all together.
That just reminded me of a thing. So in one of the episodes of Flash I watched in catch up, one episode is all about like what happened with Psycho Pirate's mask. Not Psycho Pirate, but his mask.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good.
Well, considering they don't really do much with him. Like,
But it
Well,
was
they
like
set
a
him up
really
for-
sad, it was a really sad like epilogue and not well handled to where we left him in Elseworlds.
yeah.
And it's just like, oh yeah, Psycho Pirate, that was on the table. Here's the thing. And I'm like, wow, I kind of wish you just left it alone.
Because they set him up for a crisis in Elseworlds, but then they didn't do it.
Doctor disrespect.
All right. There's a Disney Plus Halloween special coming from Marvel. We don't know when. Probably next year. The Wrap has reported that Marvel is searching for a Latino actor in his 30s to star in an untitled Halloween special. Now, that's all the official news that The Wrap reported. But they have heard through channels that this is potentially the second Werewolf by Night, Jake, a.k.a. Red Wolf.
Hell yeah.
Who is a member of the Hopi, Native American tribe whose family has been cursed with lycanthropy.
Hell yeah. So instead of making the Werewolf by Night just like the original like white guy or whatever, like they're doing the new modern one, written by Taboo of the Black Eyed Peas, who also is writing Spirits of Vengeance, the new Spirit Ghost Rider. Like apparently like Taboo's like a big comic book fan. I never would have guessed that. It's so cool. But yeah, they're doing like the new modern one. I think that's awesome if this is true. And like I love Halloween specials. Like you guys know how much I love Halloween. Like Star Wars is doing the Christmas special, so it's just really cool that Marvel's doing something similar with like Halloween.
Muppets has the Haunted Mansion Halloween special coming up.
There you go.
Even Marvel has a Christmas special coming out.
Oh,
wait. What?
You said Star Wars has a Christmas
special.
special.
Sorry, that's right. I meant Guardians. I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh yeah, there is this Marvel one. That's crazy. This is
cool. Star Wars does have Lego specials that have been coming out. So I thought you meant those.
Yeah. This is really exciting. Yeah, man, bring out that horror universe. Like Blade's coming. Like get them all out, baby.
I'm a little bummed that we don't get to see Jack Russell, only because I would love to see the audience think of the name being like, wait a minute.
Jack Russell Terrier, he's a dog.
Man,
yeah,
there's nothing saying he can't appear.
Yeah, absolutely. He could still be the first one, and we just haven't seen him before.
I'm not gonna care that much. Yeah. Cool. I love specials. I was really excited when they announced the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. They bring it on.
Spooky.
All right. Some comic book news. Not a lot. Venom X, I think I pronounced that right, is coming from Todd McFarlane, but not Todd McFarlane, because it is actually his very good friend John Leguizamo.
So he's okay.
I thought it was Phenom X, like phenomenon.
Is it spelled PH?
Yeah.
Then it's Phenom.
Oh, Phenom X then. John Leguizamo, Aram Rappaport, and Joe Masiak are writing a comic book with Chris Batista as art, and somehow Todd McFarlane is involved. I think he's like editing it or something. But this came about because they've been friends since Spawn. And he's like, "You want to write a comic?" And he's like, "Sure."
Sure.
Wrongfully imprisoned and desperate to regain his freedom, Max Gomez agrees to become a subject in an underground government experiment. When the trial gives him phenomenal shape-shifting abilities, Gomez learns his new freedom requires surviving a superpowered war fought on the streets of NYC.
Sounds like a 90s Image book. Sounds like a Todd McFarlane book. All right.
Yep.
That's true. It does.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. I probably will pass.
Yeah. Cowboy Bebop. It's actually a good time to talk about the Cowboy Bebop look we got, which was just images, and I think they look really cool.
Oh, they look just like it. It looks so good.
Cute dog, little doggy.
Really happy to see the dog. I knew the dog would be in it. I just like that there's just a spread and they're walking the dog. I thought that was cool. A new prequel novel subtitled A Syndicate Story, Red Planet Requiem by Sean Cummings. Sean Cummings is one of the writers of the show. He's just a staff writer on the show. This will tell the story of a young Spike and his friend and future nemesis Vicious as they grow up in the slums of Mars and become involved with its powerful crime syndicate.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that's coming. And then Titan is going to publish a 4-issue comic book series that will feature a new story featuring Spike, Jet, and Faye, which sees the team of bounty hunters on the tail of a criminal who has a legendary vest that supposedly makes him extremely lucky. This one is written by Dan Waters, who's currently writing Homesick Pilots.
Yep.
Has written Lucifer, or is currently writing Lucifer. Is there a Lucifer book out right now?
I'm not reading it, but I know they relaunched one. I don't know if it's still going on.
With art by Lamar Mathurin, and this will come out in December.
It's cool.
I'm more interested in the Dan Waters one just because I know his comic work more. But like it's so wild that like in a couple months we're just going to be having an onslaught of new Cowboy Bebop stuff, both in terms of TV and comic books. Like it's like
comic books especially.
And that's
honestly,
crazy.
Like that's just not the turn I expected.
Yeah. And it's not like the cartoon. Like it is John Cho.
Yeah.
As Spike.
Right.
Which is really cool. I'm excited to be back in Cowboy Bebop land.
I really hope that show's good. I'm really excited.
It makes me, really interested in what the live action show is going to do, because it does feel like it's going to be like very much an adaptation that's not one for oneing at all.
Yeah.
I think they are taking inspiration and going in their own direction, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I'm not against, because I think it would be a mistake with something as iconic as Cowboy Bebop to try to replicate.
I'm sure it's going to have like the same like overall plot and stuff.
For sure. But like, I think a lot of the beats are I think it's going to be the better version of adaptations where you're kind of yes-anding rather than absolutely and only what you did originally. And I will only recreate that Lion King.
Because we already have that. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't even know.
And it's already done. It's not just that you already have it, you have it perfect.
Yeah.
Like everyone who knows Cowboy Bebop loves that original anime series. You're never going to like match it exactly. So don't try to meet it on a different way.
Exactly.
We don't even know if Ed is in the show. We haven't heard.
Yeah, that's been I've seen that as a talking point. And I'm like, that's a fair point. We'll see.
I just don't think we've seen enough to really even know.
But we would have heard a casting, surely.
I wonder if Ed is either a late addition into the season or something they decided, let's just get this working and then save Ed for a season 2.
It could be, like expanding that show into multiple seasons. So like, things are extrapolated.
I'm wondering that because I'm like, I can definitely see where you want to establish these 3 and save Ed for later.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too. Much like Preacher's first season is kind of a prequel
that's
to it.
Great. That is a great example.
Absolutely.
I think that is a great example of yes-anding. As well, and I think that's a decent chance that's what we're seeing here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run out real quick and grab another drink.
Do it.
Back.
Okay. You're gonna miss the Batman news because we found out who the new Batman.
No. Oh no! I'm gonna miss another Batman news.
Yep. No. We found out who the new Batman writer is after James Tynion leaves.
Oh yeah.
Joshua Williamson will be taking over writing duties, starting with issue 118. He'll be joined by Jorge Molina.
Yes.
They are going to start in December, like I said, with issue number 118. Tynion is leaving after 117. And the first story will be called Abyss, and will feature a new villain called Abyss. And then Batman's also seeing a costume change, and a costume that looks more like his Batman Inc. costume prior to Flashpoint.
Oh, the one with the yellow logo on it, right?
No trunks, yellow logo. I love that suit a lot.
Me too. I'm probably not going to read this initially, but I am excited for this. If you would ask me this like a year ago, I probably would have said this is a safe choice. But I know Joshua Williamson's been doing good stuff with an Infinite Frontier. I'm not reading it. I know other people are. They seem to really, really like it. Josh Williamson is also just like a big DC head, and he's a guy who like on Twitter, like I follow him on Twitter. He's like, yeah, like I've wanted to write Batman my whole life, and now I'm here. This is my chance. So like, I'm excited. I'm not gonna read it initially. Like, well, we'll see how it goes. I'm still sad that like I was mad at Tynion for taking over, and then his run's like legendary, and I'm not reading it. And then like that's why I like it could be Tynion, Tiny Onion, Tynion, the fourth. So yeah, I'm excited for him.
Yeah, I think that I'm kind of in the same boat. I was bummed that I didn't pick up Tynion's run, and because I'm hearing such great things about it. And I really like what Joshua Williamson is doing. Just in general, I'm reading Robin. It's the only one of his books that I'm currently caught up on.
I'm so mad because my comic shop is out of the issues, and I've been wanting to read that book so bad.
Yeah, I really like it. I think Tom Taylor's doing Nightwing. I can't say that. That book's really good. But yeah, I think I might pick this up. It's got I remember when Grant Morrison first introduced the Batman Inc. suit when he came back. That was my favorite suit. I remember being so excited when they dropped it in Arkham City or Arkham Origins, one of them. That's my favorite Batman suit that he's ever donned. So I'm excited to see that come back.
I love the yellow because it's like bright, and it's like that's where you shoot him because it's his most armored spot.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right, trailers.
Walking to the trailer park.
Maya and the Three.
I love Ryan the Last Dragon.
This is from the people who did Book of Life. I really like Book of Life. I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, Book of Life was amazing, and this one just visually is like, damn, this looks great.
Yeah,
Visually, I'm impressed.
Yep.
Pause for effect.
I've seen now enough of these types of movies where the setting is cool and the visuals are cool, but there's nothing about the story that like this feels like I've seen this movie a million times. I would need to see the whole movie to really see if like making it a Mayan aesthetic, did you just do it because the Mayan aesthetic hasn't been done a lot, or is there actual relevance to making it a Mayan story and not just, oh, I'm a princess in a cool world, you know? We'll see. I think it looks visually appealing though.
It's like, yeah, I seen Brave where the princess wants to do more than just be a princess.
Well, he's Latino. I don't know if that makes. I don't want to say he's Mayan because there's no Mayans around anymore. I don't know if there's like descendants of Mayans or anything like that.
Even then, like you can be a descendant of a culture, and that doesn't make you an authorial expert on it. And
I know, but like Book of Life, his Latino heritage drove the passion for Book of Life, and I wonder if a similar thing is happening with this film.
Possibly.
Right. And I'm like, there's nothing present in this trailer that isn't grabbing me. That isn't just the aesthetic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like, it's a good aesthetic. It visually looks great. I acknowledge that 100%. There's nothing else that it's selling me on though.
Yeah. I believe this is, I don't know if he's done a film between this and Book of Life. I don't know. I don't know, but I love Book of Life. So
that's good.
And we'll see.
I'm hoping for the best. Like, again, like it looks cool.
Yeah. I guess the Kingsman marketing is kicking back up again because we're getting closer to that release.
Yep.
Another trailer.
It dropped. Did you see the thing? You see the thing about No Time to Die, where it cost them $100 million to start marketing that movie every time?
That it's never going to make its money back.
Never in a million years.
I'm really excited for this movie. I'm a big fan of Rasputin as a real person and a fictional person in context. Like it looks fun. I didn't need a fourth trailer. You know, I was already sold on it 2 years ago.
I have nothing new to say about it.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah.
I like seeing Ray Fiennes kick ass, just like I liked seeing Colin Firth Farrell kick ass.
Yes.
I literally spent half the trailer just being like, boy, if Jimon Hansu dies at the end of this movie,
I'm gonna be mad.
Oh, I'm gonna be pissed.
We gotta stop doing this, Hollywood.
All right, then let's skip it to Welcome to Blumhouse.
Man, this is the 1 minute trailer for 3 movies. I got nothing out of it. 4 movies. I got nothing out of it.
It's like, hey, I recognize one of these guys from his episode of Mandalorian. That's about it.
I know one of these movies involves vampires.
Yes, because I showed fans.
I know nothing else.
Why aren't we just getting individual trailers for each movie? I don't understand why this is like the second trailer we've got that's a compilation trailer.
So I thought the same. I specifically didn't watch the first trailer that came out a couple months ago because I was like, well, I'll just wait for the individual trailers. And then this trailer dropped. I'm like, oh, so we're just doing this? That's weird.
Yeah. I have a feeling that like an individual trailer will pop closer to release, but like you've already done this twice now.
We've watched so many horror movie trailers in the past few months that show me something visually dynamic that's already getting me, like things like Malignant or even the not being received well, but Neil Blomkamp movie.
Oh God,
that's out.
I forgot the name of it. Yeah.
Even that, like showing me something that's like giving me like, oh, this is the thing you're doing that's making me not think this is just
something
a Hulu horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
What's unique about it?
Like that I would just flip on through cable. Yeah. There's just nothing here for me yet.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I'm like, give me a single trailer for the first movie. Like, I don't even remember what any of these movies' names are. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, that's a good point.
Give me one trailer for the first movie, and then I'll tell you if I want to see it.
if they do show you the names, the trailer or the trailers, the names of the films, it's like quick shot. You don't get to see them. It's like a half a second of a scene with the name of the movie, and then it goes to the next one for half a second. It's like,
even if you wanted to,
a less successful Fear Street, and not in terms of like that's a trilogy of movies, but like these are movies that are like somehow connected, maybe not, but like you got to market each one individually because otherwise it's just a big mess.
It's 2 double features on 2 nights, so it's 2 movies and the 2 movies. So even if you wanted to just do a trailer for the 2 movies for night 1, night 2, that makes sense.
I've seen a Grindhouse trailer for the Grindhouse movie that came out like a decade ago. Those are 2 movies, and that trailer is 2 trailers that's merged into 1 trailer. Like you can do that.
They made sure that you knew what movie was what for Grindhouse, and it's like, hey, this is a Grindhouse double feature. You're gonna see 2 movies when you buy a ticket to this. This one is just
like I said up top. I know one of these movies involves vampires. I don't know which one.
What's it called?
Whatever one with the dude who wasn't Rorschach.
I could have swore one of the movie's titles was Bingo Hell, so maybe that involves if you lose at bingo, you get your soul sucked, or you get your soul taken. Am I saying that? I don't freaking know.
He's about to get a soul sucked.
Oh, Cabal's in that movie. I'm in.
Bingo hell, bingo all the way.
But yeah, that's all I know about this is like involved. One of them has vampires, the other may have you better win at bingo, well, Satan's gonna get you.
What you got next, Brandon?
This might be the worst trailer talk we've ever had.
It's just like and I'm gonna tell you right now, I know what I'm gonna say on this next one too. Like, I just don't have a lot of new to say from this.
Yeah, what is it?
It's Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
Oh,
I didn't even know this came out. I didn't need it. The movie comes out in 5 days.
Yeah, I didn't need this trailer either, but at the same time, it's
and you guys could have told me not to put it on.
I thought it would have been something. I guess I just didn't. I don't know. It's a trailer.
It's for the. It's honestly just to market the song that was written for the movie.
It's a good song though. It's hot bop.
It's a Fast and Furious movie trailer. That's for
sure. It's definitely.
Yeah.
At least it's not a.
The only thing about it is like, I think the one thing is like I wasn't worried about this, but like it's cool to know. I'm gonna like the relationship between Simu Liu and Awkwafina.
Yeah,
great.
They're gonna be friends. Yeah.
Not worried about that. That looks like it's gonna be a fun relationship to watch. I'm stoked.
I'll tell you what. There's one shot of a bunch of dragons I didn't need to see. Didn't need to see it.
All right.
Too many dragons. Too many dragons.
Real quick before we go on to the next trailer, I do want to give just a quick moment. We did Gamescom. You want to hear our thoughts about what I'm about to say? Go to Gamescom for Ben, Ryan, myself. But Brandon, I want you to have this space. Just talk a little bit so that you have the moment.
Yeah.
Lego Star Wars.
There you go.
Skywalker Saga trailer.
Oh, I don't need it. It's okay.
But it is being provided.
Okay, I appreciate it. I really like that it looks like from the trailer they fixed the combat system in these Lego games. For a while, the combat system has bugged me because they're not really combat games, and they still have been. It felt like they've been using the same combat system since the PlayStation 2.
They have.
And it looks like that this game. It doesn't look like they're putting a new skin over an older Lego game. It looks like they've crafted a new Lego game from the ground up.
You and I suspected this after the last trailer that, this really is going to be new. This trailer really showed off like this is a top to bottom different thing. This is not the previous Star Wars Lego game. This is all brand new.
I said it on the Gamescom thing, so I won't go into too much detail. But like I am over the moon excited for this game because it looks so different. Because like those Lego games are fine. I am done with that type of combat. Like I realized quickly in Marvel Superheroes 2, like I've played enough of these games and they haven't done anything different in a decade for me to really want to play it anymore. This is behind the back. It's more almost like how God of War did a complete like camera change. This game is doing a complete camera change. And even like the spaceship combat is so much closer in. It feels more personal and more impactful.
That's a great example where when we saw that first God of War trailer where it's like, this has changed.
It's behind the back.
Yeah.
Like the lightsaber combat feels it just looks infinitely more fun.
In the levels for the Lego games, it's always been a static camera. The camera only goes really where the story needs it to. But the free roam allows you to move the camera in a 360. And I always preferred that because it kind of made the gaming experience a little bit more fun. I'm far more interested if that is even if the camera's not static, as long as we see that we can put it behind the back and we can kind of manipulate it, it looks like this will be a lot more enjoyable gaming experience for a next gen console.
To me, this looks like a marriage of, oh, do you like Battlefront? Would you like to play the stories of the Star Wars films and explore the world?
In Lego form?
Everything's going to look Lego.
That's a good
but
point.
would you like to do it? Because it's going to look that way. And it very much is reminiscent of like wandering in the Star Wars worlds in the way that Battlefront does, which is nice. It looks truly like they adapted these worlds so well.
Yeah. I had the game pre-ordered on the PlayStation 4 for 2 years now because it kept getting pushed back. So then I was like, oh wait, I've got a PS5 now. Cancel pre-order PS5 version.
Yeah, there's a Twitter screenshot of like coming 2020, coming 2021, coming 2022 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, goodness gracious.
Hey, if the game's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pandemics suck.
Yeah. We always talk about it how game delays only good can
Always
only
a good
mean good
thing.
things.
Yeah.
Always a good thing.
All right, that's it. That's all the trailers.
Wait a minute.
Hold up.
You're right. They finally released the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. To be perfectly honest, when I first saw it drop, I didn't believe it. I was like, they're trolling us. There's no way.
It was definitely, and I 100% got wrapped in the hype super hard this week. Twitter was the most insane I've ever seen it waiting for a trailer because the rumor guys were like, guys, I heard it was coming out an hour ago. Guys, it's coming out soon. Everyone's just like, they're all liars. This ain't happening.
It's coming out on Tom Holland's birthday. It's coming out on the anniversary of his father's marriage. Or
all this nonsense. And then it just comes out, and then it's the highest viewed trailer of all time and the quickest, like it's like 1 billion views like in a day. Like it's just like insane shit. Yeah, guys, all the rumors are true.
Well, so far we know that most of the rumors are true. We still don't know that Charlie Cox is in it.
Man, come on. Come on, Green Goblin, come on. Come on. I cannot. I'm at a point with this movie where I am so excited for it because of how just like it's not the Spider-Man movie that I want it to be. But guess what? I got 5 of those movies already. I'm ready for big multiverse Spider-Man. And that's because I've read a lot of those comics and those can also be fun. The nostalgia hit me really hard, guys, in a way I didn't expect, like really did. And like, again, it's something only time can give us. And like, if this would have happened a couple years after the Raimi movies, it wouldn't have the same impact if it's 15 years later, right? Hearing a is like, it gave me goosebumps and I'm like, God damn it, I'm a nostalgia bitch today. Today, Ben, I'm nostalgia bitch.
When I first saw this trailer, I put it on my TV because Zara hadn't seen it either, so we decided to watch it together. And I was like, okay, cool. I like Doctor Strange. I'm into seeing more Doctor Strange. Cool. Pumpkin Bomb, cool. Hello, Peter. Oh
yeah.
shit.
Yeah. Alfred Molina, he's a slut for Hollywood. What can I say?
For whatever reason, I was kind of not lukewarm is the wrong word, but I was like, I was enjoying it, but it didn't hit me. And then Alfred Molina shows up, I'm like, oh shit, that's Doc Ock.
Yeah.
I watched this trailer with Fanny. So I did watch the trailer. I rewatched this trailer like 5 times maybe in the span of this week because I just really enjoyed it. I had a good time watching this trailer, and I showed Fanny on it. I showed her like you did, right on the big screen on our TV, and she's watching. She's like, "Oh hey, Doctor Strange. Oh hey, this." And then the Pumpkin Bomb shows up. She's like, "Wait, that looks familiar." And then the octopus arms come, and she's like, "No." And then it's like, "Hello, Peter." She's like, "Hey!" She's like pointing at the TV screen. She's like, "Wait a minute, that's the original." I'm like, "Yeah, that's the original."
That's such a much better reaction than my girlfriend who said, "Who?"
Oh, that's why you tweeted that.
Yeah, she's only seen Spider-Man 3 of the Raimi films.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The world is so funny sometimes.
Found that. Well, she was pretty young when the first 2 came out.
No, I get it. It's just like, how do you see the 3rd movie in a franchise without? That's like, I don't do that. I'm not that type of person. Like, I'm not gonna watch Godfather 3 without seeing the first 2. You know, I'm a different person.
I can vividly remember the weekend Spider-Man hit theaters. Every kid at my school was going to see it, and I asked my parents if we can, and they said nope. We have to wait to the next Friday until we can go see Spider-Man. I was like, why? And I don't remember the answer they gave me, but it wasn't a good answer.
Sparks, you've been silent.
He doesn't talk yet.
Yeah, I was just letting you guys go. I think it's good. Like it's cool that it looks like it's picking up pretty much like following immediately from the day that he gets outed to Halloween, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So from the summer moving up into October, great. October 2023.
Yeah, we're still in 2023.
Yeah. I love Doctor Strange's snow. I was out plowing the snow in front of our manor.
In my house.
Having some adventure previous to the Spider-Man encounter. That looks funny. Yeah.
Well, it could be snowing in New York in October as well.
No, I know, but his entire house is inside his snow.
No, I know.
Come
Yeah,
on.
that too.
That's not natural.
Every time Doctor Strange shows up, I'm like, oh yeah, I really like Doctor Strange.
I honestly, I like him more and more as Benedict plays him.
Yeah, me too.
I like Doctor Strange the movie fine, but like that's my least favorite of his Doctor Strange performances.
Mhm.
Like I like him more and more as he becomes like the Doctor Strange through the character.
More and more uncomfortable with it. Yeah.
And the accent.
My biggest complaint about this trailer is that when Peter calls him Steven, he doesn't say, "That's a little strange, but I'll roll with it."
Well, they did that.
He says that's weird.
They did that in the Infinity War. They can't do that twice.
Oh no! The MCU can't do a callback.
You'd hate callbacks.
Yeah, but I would have liked that.
Oh my god, you can't have it both ways.
It's not the same callback. It's a different joke.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You can't have it both ways. Tastes are subjective.
It's true. Sure. Yeah. I definitely. I know the leading up to this, we've all been hesitant, but now that we're here and I see like what it is, I'm very happy with it. Again, like, you know, it's not, you know, small scale Spider-Man's broke, but guess what? That we've had 60 years of that. We've had 5 movies of that. I'm really happy that we're getting the Spider-Man that is a big bombastic hero because there are he's multitudes. He has multiple things he can do. He's not just always broke. I hate that.
So
I will push back a little bit and say that I think it's really important that in a world of plenty of heroes who don't do this,
yes,
it's important to have someone who represents working class.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the biggest reasons why Peter Parker is popular world round.
Yes.
And the fact that the MCU continues to not, I'm not saying this is the movie that should be addressing that.
It can't
It's
be.
more, I understand that.
Yeah.
It's more a problem that it's still just not been a thing up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
That's frustrating because like even just beyond him having a trilogy of Spider-Man films, he's also been in Avengers films. And so we've got a lot of movies with the Spider-Man, and like he is not the working class hero that he should be. And I do think that's an important missing feature of that character.
No, that's true. I love that in Spider-Man 1, he is a tech guy, and then the end of the movie, he is in his regular suit being Spider-Man. People always forget that part of that him being Iron Boy. I'm just very excited because I like big Spider-Man, and I'm glad we're here. I like the Green Goblin.
So I have a different issue with this story than Sparks. Although I do agree mostly with Sparks.
It's not an issue with the story. It's just, again, like, I don't think this is the movie that was ever supposed, like, I wasn't expecting this movie to be the one that fixes that problem. I just do in general think that's an issue.
Sure.
I have a couple of things. One, it's interesting that we know, it's interesting that potentially this is the first solo MCU film to not introduce a new MCU villain. This will just be regurgitating villains from prior films.
We don't know that.
We don't know that. I also think Mysterio is in this. I think the
Electro is the Electro of this universe.
Oh, you think that Jamie Foxx is going to play the Electro of this universe?
100%.
Yeah. Because he alluded to the multiverse in
he
his.
said
in
he's
his
not
post.
playing the same Electro.
Right, but I guess I'm misremembering. I do remember that part.
Also, two of the other two characters to show up.
Right. I don't think Alfred Molina is playing Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2 either.
Yeah. Same here.
Well, the other thing is, not only are most of the villains that we're going to get in this film dead from their previous films, I hope this doesn't negate the possibility of seeing MCU versions of Green Goblin or Dr. Octopus. I hope we get to see them in the future.
I don't think it does.
It might, and I'll finish your thought and I'll say why.
I hope that this doesn't. I hope that we're right in assuming that it's not the same Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2, because that character died a hero. And it would suck to kind of negate that effect, even though Alfred Molina himself said they're going to pluck me out of the moment in the river. And then it's interesting. I don't think Doc Ock is saying hello Peter to Tom Holland. I think he's saying hello Peter to Tobey Maguire. But Tom Holland has no emotional stakes to any of these villains. And I think that's a lot to juggle. And I'm not saying that this movie can't be good. I'm saying I'm concerned that John Watts isn't prepared to juggle all of what this movie has to by having all these characters.
I would feel that it would be overstuffed. And this is going to be a weird thing to say because I'm adding more characters to this, but it would be overstuffed. It was only Tom Holland dealing with the Sinister Six, but it's not. We have 2 other Spider-Man who are going to help carry the load. They're not going to be in it the whole time.
Because they have to carry the emotional load.
But they will carry the emotional load. We still, guys, this is with the teaser trailer for this movie. This was a 3-minute long teaser trailer that showed more than most regular trailers do. There's still so much of this movie that we don't know anything about.
Right.
And so it is impossible for me to say like that there won't be any emotional engagement with our
I'm not saying there won't be any. I'm just saying I'm concerned that John Watts is not capable of handling the all he needs to juggle.
Sure. I think he's handled the emotions well of the last 2 Spider-Man movies. Maybe not like all the plot stuff, but the emotions I've had no problems with. So I'm not worried on that level. I am worried about juggling the plot itself. That's what I'm worried about.
I'm worried about that also, but I think my thing that's kind of like in between what you two are saying is that I think the MCU does have potential for stepping into the same trap here that I think the DC universe has done, that even the MCU has kind of flirted with at times, where you're doing things that don't necessarily serve the character, but they do serve the fans so it's treating an audience that does have the relationship. We have an emotional relationship with Alfred Molina's Doc Ock, but it's not necessarily serving the character.
Yes.
And that's going to hold the story, the plot back, if that is the case. If they pander to that too hard and don't build enough for Tom Holland, I'm not saying that's what will happen.
No, I get you.
But that is, I think, the biggest fear in doing it is that you can easily slip into the Rise of Skywalker is the best example of this. You can easily slip into the like, I did this for you, and it's like,
we didn't need
but
that.
you didn't do it for the characters I cared about.
So
Sparks, you were about to say something about after I said that this could potentially negate the appearance of a Doc Ock or a Green Goblin in the MCU.
Real quick, like this is just something Ryan and I were bantering about earlier, which is that Tom Holland is not contracted up for a long stay in the MCU.
He's almost done.
Still hasn't happened. There is a possibility that this is a way to take Tom Holland out of the MCU, to take his Spider-Man away
to
and
Sony.
Leave him in a different universe that would be the Sony films. The only reason why I say there's a possibility of that is because we didn't really put it in the news, but Sony changed their moniker for their films to Spider-Man movie characters. They put Spider-Man in the title, so it's no longer Sony Universal Marvel characters. It's Spider-Man.
The spunk is dead.
And the fact that they put Spider-Man in it tells me they're moving forward with putting Spider-Man in their movies, whether it's Tom Holland or what I think is the smart choice, which is to leave Tom Holland to the MCU and have their own Spider-Man separately to engage with those characters. Who knows? There is a possibility that I think that the version of what you're talking about, where this does negate us ever seeing those MCU versions, is if this film's purpose is to ultimately take Spider-Man out of the MCU.
Sure.
This is like the last hurrah for our Spider-Man, basically. Yeah.
One of the things that I brought up was that Peter Parker has no. More specifically, I think this could be solved by Doc Ock died a hero, and if Alfred Molina is correct, and yes, this is the one from Spider-Man 2, then I think a lot of it can be explained away by Mysterio is manipulating a lot of this, is manipulating a lot of people to a lot of these alternate universe versions to attack our Peter Parker, and he needs to team up with the other Peter Parkers. I think Mysterio could be a valuable asset to this film. Other than that, I really don't see you introducing a new MCU villain. A new MCU Spider-Man villain. I do see you either reusing Vulture or Mysterio, and I think Mysterio is probably a smart way to go.
Electro is definitely in the movie, but also there is a shot of a somewhat looking Sandman in the trailer. So like there are rumors that Sandman is in this trailer, and again,
And Lizard. We've heard rumors of
oh
Lizard.
yeah, definitely. We definitely see some weird thing scratch a Peter. That definitely might be the Lizard. So I think they deliberately showed a lot of villains in this thing. So like, yo guys, like there's a lot in this movie. Like this is such a bigger movie than, and Tom Holland said himself, this is the biggest solo superhero movie ever made. And I've seen really big superhero. We've seen Doctor Strange. That ends in a big time battle. Like, how do you get bigger than that? Spider-Verse happens. So like,
there's nothing on
we're here.
There's nothing on paper that I dislike about this. Like I said, the trailer got me excited. There is just a lingering worry. That John Watts just always has to juggle two studios already, the wants of Marvel and Sony. He's got a really tough job as an MCU director, more so than the others.
Also, John Watts is directing Fantastic Four. So if this is the last Spider-Man movie, that would actually make sense. And then he just moves on to the next franchise.
That's true. Yeah, he could move on to Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four will probably be a lot easier project for him because he doesn't have to deal with Sony.
I think even before Fantastic Four, John Watts was saying he always wanted to do like a trilogy with Spider-Man. I think he was going to step away after that one way or another, and put Spider-Man in someone else's hands. I definitely get like that like. It's just a little bit of nervousness of like, you know, what this is going to mean. We're not going to know till the movie comes out, and probably even a little while after that necessarily what this means for the longevity of Tom Holland in the MCU. But I do agree with Brandon. I don't want this to mean anyone's off the table should Tom Holland stay in the future.
Yeah, I really like Tom Holland. Yeah,
we've talked about it before that Kevin Feige has an allergic reaction to using characters that have already shown up in movies.
Yeah. I hope he gets over that with time. The other thing is a big factor of that. Like, while I think that there's a possibility that there are discussions about like what is the long-term plan for Disney and Sony's relationship over the Spider-Man film rights, I think it also just got more complicated this week because of the response to the trailer, which proves that for both companies, there's profit in sticking together because you pull it out, you're not getting that same reaction.
Yeah,
like you will for a little while. You take Spider-Man away from the MCU and you leave him in the Sony films. You'll still get some responses for sure. It's still Spider-Man, but it will dwindle down.
Yeah, we do know that Sony made a deal with Disney Plus to have their movies on Disney Plus. So I'm sure that there's interest in keeping that relationship.
Yeah. It's just, you know, I told Ryan this too. Like, I am nervous about when they go back to those negotiating tables because it's not Bob Iger at that table anymore. It's now Bob Chapek. And that's a man with a different vision about profits and what's necessary and what isn't. So we'll see. We'll see what this relationship is going to be going forward. There's all kinds of things still up in the air, Venom 2 and Morbius and what they're doing. But we'll get there.
Craven.
The Michael Keaton comment that he said that he's in this movie.
Oh yeah. So Brandon, Vulture is in this movie because Michael Keaton's doing interviews. And just real quick, you need to look up Michael Keaton interviews because he's one of the most interesting people on the planet. He does not watch movies. He makes movies, but he doesn't watch any movies. He is not a movie person. He is an outdoors person. So he's talking about how he's working on the Batman and he's working on the Spider-Man. He's like, I'm in all these a Flash, well, it's basically a Batman movie. I'm in all these multiversal movies, and I have no idea what the hell's going on, but I'm having a great time. He has no idea what, like, he's reading the scripts, and he's like, I don't know what I'm saying, but y'all seem to really love it.
I read that article. I guess I just assumed he was talking about being in Morbius and not understanding how it connected to Spider-Man: Homecoming.
No, he's in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We always assumed he'd come back eventually.
Speaking of coming back, here's Mag, who just got back from a party.
Hey, Mag.
Just finishing up trailer talk. One last thing. I do hope this is something that I think is really just maybe on all our minds to some extent. I'm going to be really sad if we only get like 20 minutes of MJ and Ned in this.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're in it.
I'm hoping so, but like they're not getting pulled through. So are we getting like? Are they just gonna like shoehorn in alternate versions of them?
I'm just saying, like
that kind of thing. It's
too early to tell. Like with the first of the teaser.
Yes, absolutely, for sure. It's definitely too early to tell. I just hope that's because you have so much to juggle. Like I can definitely see them being sidelined for this movie, which all the more goes back to the reason where maybe I'm kind of okay with that for the story to work. I just don't want it to be the last time we engage with these characters.
Oh yeah, I feel that. Yeah.
That's where it would be a bummer is if this is them doing the swan song of this time. It would suck if that is the last way we engage with them.
That's true.
Come hell or high water, Amy Pascal finally got her Sinister Six movie.
It's true. And listen, at the end of the day, like the kid in me sees this image behind me, and like the 9-year-old who saw Spider-Man 1 is getting a Spider-Verse movie with all the Spider-Man who've come after. Like, there's just a part of me that like that's insane.
Yeah.
That we're at a point in our entertainment lives that this can happen.
For
So
sure.
there's just a part of me that's like, it's impossible for me to like be negative, because I'm like, Tobey Maguire's back.
It's another one of those comic book touchstones.
Yeah.
That milestone where you're like, wow, we did it, we're here.
Yeah.
I'm also still just super intrigued, like what this is going to mean for Doctor Strange. You know,
Yeah.
When we come out of this.
Oh, you mean Mephisto?
Because we're only a couple months out once this releases from Doctor Strange.
I saw that when it was like, that's not Doctor Strange. Why would he do it? Like, did you not see the movie? Of course he would do this. Of course, 100% Doctor Strange would be like, all right, I'm going to try it.
The Mephisto thing comes from there's a very famous panel of Mephisto in front of a fireplace with a glass of wine, and it's like, it looks like it's like Doctor Strange is doing that too, and everyone's just like, this, because it's also One More Day, which is a Mephisto
also One
story.
More Day, which is a Mephisto story.
So like,
yes, I was gonna say
again, like, how stupid would it be if the Spider-Man movies where Mephisto shows up, and like, I can't do it.
I just go back to like when people were, because before even the Mephisto thing came up, people were saying maybe it's the Dark Doctor Strange from What If, and I was like, in the first movie he's like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna mess with the Time Stone.
Yeah, he's arrogant. Yeah.
So we know Tom Holland's contract was for another Spider-Man and one other Marvel film, and we don't know what that other Marvel film is. And I've been wondering, I have been for a long time, if that film is Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
maybe.
I hope not.
Amy Pascal has had an interesting track with the Spider-Man films, because whenever because she likes to use the villains that were supposed to happen in Spider-Man films. So like when Spider-Man 4 didn't happen, it was supposed to have Vulture and Lizard or whoever was written at that week. They used Vulture and Lizard in the first of the next films, and then she tried to get a Sinister Six in Amazing Spider-Man 3, and then tried to get into a Drew Goddard Sinister Six movie, and now she finally did it. So good job, Amy Pascal.
She when she wants something, she works hard for it.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, that's all we got. Anything else you want to add before we move on?
No. I think it is time for the candies to be in my.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize.
Oh, it's okay. I was just saying Candyman.
Yeah. Okay. So yes. So we're going to be talking about Nia DaCosta's new film.
That
one.
Don't you mean Jordan Peele's movie?
No, it's Nia DaCosta's. Jordan Peele did co-write the script with her, though. He is credited as scriptwriter. So Nia DaCosta's new film. So full spoilers. Fair warning. Full spoilers. We're spoiling the shit out of it. You have been warned.
And reasonably for the 1992 Candyman as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard not to be referencing to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you've been warned. So what do we think about this one, Ben?
Sandyman.
This one was spooky as all hell. So after the movie, it wasn't like jump scary. It wasn't like super jump scary, but it was suspenseful, and the tension was definitely there, and the imagery itself, like when Anthony's hand constantly gets rotted from the bee sting as the film progresses, it's just foreshadowing more and more like he's going to be the next Candyman. So it was definitely spooky. There was some really, I don't want to say grotesque imagery, but shocking imagery. And it was good. It was really, really well made and really well done.
Sparks?
We saw this last night, and I was super duper hot on it. I am slightly less hot on it, but still hot on it.
Ryan?
I'm pretty hot on it.
Sparks, why don't we? What makes you less hot?
Well, first, what's your take, Brandon? Because
I really liked it. Found it very spooky.
There you go.
I felt obligated to follow the thread of like Black critics who were having responses that were less on the high caliber that I was feeling when I came out of it, and read what they had to say. And I'm like, I think these are very valid points that I really just can't speak to myself. And they're mostly centered around the fact that it's really two main things. And I think that the first one is like, you know what? When I think about it, I think that's fair. The representation of like Chicago as the environment, as part of the the purpose of the setting is not, it doesn't serve to the story the way that it did in the original in 1992, and it doesn't feel like it's as intrinsically a part of Candyman as it should be. It is in words, but not in representation.
I felt that the oppression of Chicago was always there because, like, of the reflective city always, like,
right.
throughout
I mean,
the film.
I thought that was cool when those moments happened. But the characters themselves are not engaging with the environments that they're speaking to. And even when it shows Cabrini Green is reduced to such a tunnel visioned picture of what it was in comparison to the 1992 film as an environment that the characters were engaging with. And when you are dealing with a film, this is me speaking from having read these reviews that made me see these things, and I am elaborating that I do kind of see where they're coming from, but this is their points, not mine. These are people who either live in Chicago or understand much more what the Black relationship is with Chicago, because these are all Black film critics that I'm talking about. And the interpretation of the gentrification is reduced down to something that's so streamlined. It's not dealing with the complexities of the relationship, and it's so much. There's too much of the. We have taken Black characters and put them on the yuppie high level who are looking down at it now, rather than acknowledging what was done to the poor class that was there. Which it's only a problem in the sense of, like, the film wants to speak to these things and it's not nailing it for a lot of people. And again, like, I didn't catch that. This is their experience.
Yes, of course.
And I'm like, I can't speak to that perspective, but I can totally see where that perspective exists.
This is not me countering them at all, because obviously I'm a white dude. In the film, the brother even makes a joke talking about how they're talking about all this stuff happening while they're being rich Black people. So they even mention it in the movie. Maybe it's not done enough, but for me, that was them recognizing that these are people talking about the situation, but they're not doing anything about it. They're rich and Black.
I think it's less that it's not like that it's absent, and that it's not an integral part of the story in the way that they felt that it should be, if it's going to actually speak to what it's trying to speak to. So the larger point, and I think one that is valid, and I think makes a lot of sense, and I'm kind of going to distill it down in my own words. I've also got a couple of pull quotes I'll give you guys, but is that this is very much a made for an everyone audience, not made for the Black audience. Is their perspective on it, their take, which is that if you really wanted to talk about this, there's so much more that would be done to push these messages, but you're doing this in the way where it's, and their words, it's super digestible.
It's a conventional horror movie
for the mainstream, for the white audience to be able to get on board with it. That's what it's doing. And it's in doing so, it's not as subtle. It's hitting you over the head with its social commentary. It's almost tripping over itself and trying to make sure that it's hitting that one note over and over again. And I think, to the credit of the film, this is how things happen. This is necessary. Candyman, the original in 1992, was a much more subtextual film by comparison, because in the environment that it was in, those kind of films weren't made like that. So it was pushing boundaries. I don't know that this is necessarily pushing boundaries. I think it is contributing to important conversation in a fun way, in a good way, but it's not pushing that boundary. It is very much bringing, like, we're all on the table of this level, but we're not going to have the extremist talks about what's really going on, what's really the issue of these class disparities and how this violence has carried on over time. We're not going to dig into that. We're not going to make this a film that really bores into that. We're going to hit that one note that everybody's kind of able to get on board with while they watch it and just stay there. And that's kind of the main point of it. Before we go into too much of the responses of it, I'll give you guys some of the solid quotes that I saw from this. So this one comes from On Den of Geek. Excuse me. This is Valerie Complex. Piece called "The Candyman Review Horror Movie Update is a Missed Opportunity." Let me pull down here.
Candyman 2021 in theaters now.
The new film takes the Candyman title away from one man and makes it more of a generational curse that exists among black males abused by a white supremacist system. What's frustrating is that the storytelling is forced to give way to one of the on-the-nose social commentary. DaCosta and Peele's debut films are great because the subtlety of their commentary isn't preachy so much as it is a new way to create narratives around social injustice. This is why it's hard to comprehend why they do the complete opposite in this film. But just because the writing isn't subtle, the way DaCosta executes her direction is. She prefers the slow burn, which works for this particular horror character, and it's something she's known to do well. However, in this case, it takes away from the horror elements needed to up the stakes. So that's one, and the other one is from Candyman falls into its own derivative critique of race and class from Sarah Ty Black. This is on the Globe and Mail. Sorry, one sec. I gotta pull back down for it. It asks us to see black women as inheriting the legacies of black men, of being far too simply the caretakers of their histories, while relying on the market value of Peele to the point of disturbing the perceived autonomy of its director. The world that McCoy and Cartwright live in is shaped by the virulent capitalistic desire to willfully misunderstand and cash in on the latest black success. Here, original thought is more made palatable to white audiences and critics that are in search of supposedly thought-provoking content to affirm their liberal educations. It's a failed statement on black art making that unfortunately comes to describe the film itself.
I mean, I think that one's a little harsh.
It is a little harsh. And I'm not saying I 100% agree,
yeah,
but I have seen more or less this kind of
sure.
vibe.
I've also read a lot of really positive black reviews on this too. So
for sure. And so these are black film critics who are talking about this. And I think the important distinction in that is that they know how to look at films and analyze subtext and analyze all these things. And I'm not saying that it means that they're right. What I am saying is that I think that they were hungering for something that this movie just was never going to provide because it was serving an audience that was wider than they wanted it to be, because we all want to be more progressive. And sometimes you have to take the less progressive candidate to get everybody to agree and be on board with it. Yeah. And I do think that that's what's happened here with Candyman, where everybody, to make an analogy, everybody wanted Bernie. Mm-hmm. We didn't get Bernie, we got Biden. Yeah. For this movie. Yeah. But like a lot of these black film critics, especially with the praise that the film was getting, the hype machine that it had become, who was behind it, they wanted the Bernie Sanders of pushing those boundaries about black criminal injustice and that kind of thing. Yeah. And while I didn't have that reaction when I watched that movie, and I do think it's important to bring attention, because we're all a bunch of whiteys talking about it. I do think it's important to bring attention that there are people who felt like this wasn't bad, but it didn't hit all the marks that it could have for the potential that it had that existed. Yeah. And I do think that the fundamental truth is, I don't think it's as boundary pushing as the original is. No, not I think it's good. No. I think it's good. I really do. I don't think that it goes as hard as it could, and I understand why. This is I made the joke to you, but this is more of like a Ghost Rider movie than like an original Candyman movie, because what this movie does is it widens the mythos of Candyman being a mantle, like the Ghost Rider, someone who takes revenge on the sadnesses that have happened to the community. Right. On that aspect, I really liked it a lot. Mm-hmm. As just a white person who wasn't thinking about all that stuff watching the movie, I think it's a very impactful horror movie. I think it's incredibly well shot. I think all the acting is insane. All the performances, they're all really natural. All the actors together are really natural. I love all the different interactions between all the people. I didn't think it was particularly scary, but I did find the atmosphere full of dread. And I love being in a movie where I'm not sure what's going to happen. And I'm like, oh, gross. I feel gross right now. I love that. Thick with it. The ending, in the chapel, is full of that, and I love it.
Yeah, I know I mentioned up top that this film did kind of trigger some night terrors. Not necessarily because the film is in your face scary, is like Halloween scary or anything or even as scary as the original. But the film fills the screen with such dread and such imagery of dread that I found myself constantly thinking about the sequence after he sees the reflection of himself as the current one that he summoned. Sherman, thank you. And when he is snapped out of that, when the art critic says, "What are you doing?" You still see him in the background, kind of leaning into the screen. That
Still here.
that was scarier to me than a lot of this movie, because that's kind of imagery that scares me. Because it rattles me to my core.
It's like it's obviously a very different scene, but you know, like in the original Halloween, where Michael Myers is just sitting out in the open, and you don't see like a monster just out in the open like that. Like he's just he's just the dude in the bathroom. You're like, that is horrifying.
Yeah. It was, and it's doing the same thing where like when you have the shot, when he goes away, you assume he's gone, and then your eyes are wandering for a moment, and then they settle, and you realize he's in the back.
Yeah, he just walked backwards.
So so funny enough, that scene also is like what I was talking earlier about. The imagery really gets you. It's the shot that's going out from the art critic's apartment when the art critic dies from Candyman. So Anthony leaves, and then she's just in her apartment, and the camera's just going back, and all of a sudden you see her being strangled in midair, and she dies. But then there's like some other windows on, like there's a family watching the football game. There's a family having dinner. You see all these other people living their lives, and this woman is getting brutally murdered in her own apartment, but there's nothing there. Like, we know who it is. We know it's Candyman because we can only see him through the reflection of a mirror, but there's no mirror's presence, so all we see is just her getting lifted up by some force, smacked her head against her own window, and just dies.
I knew that Tony Todd was in this movie. He was. I don't think they ever announced that he was coming back, but he's in the IMDb cast list, so kind of everyone knew. I had assumed that they had retconned his origin from watching the trailers for this new movie. But I like the idea of adding that it's kind of that there are different mythologies around this different character based on certain atrocities that happened in Cabrini Green, such as, and for a while, I thought Samuel was just an old Tony Todd, because he's covered up in a lot of blood and a lot of damaged prosthetics, which creates a really cool effect. And I wasn't too sure if it wasn't Tony Todd. It's not. And
did you mean Sherman?
Did I not say Sherman?
You said Samuel.
Oh, Sherman. Yes. And I do like the line when the laundromat dude is like, Burke. When he goes down the line of the different people, and then he stops at who Tony Todd was, and he's like, that's the one that Helen stumbled onto. So like the idea that you can summon different versions, that you can stumble onto a different mythology of this character.
The route you take to learning about Candyman determines the specific one, but they're all part of that mantle as a representation of violence against Black men.
And it makes sense that that Sherman would be the one that would be summoned, because we find out that someone broke a pact that summons him, and it being Burke, because Burke saw what happened to Sherman, so he summoned that one.
And that's the first story that Anthony engages with. Is the one that Burke tells him. So that's why that's the Candyman he encounters first.
I love Burke. I had no idea what this character was going to end up becoming. He was just like, oh, I'm just the guy who tells you about Candyman. No big deal about that. But then he's like the priest of the murder cult. And he's like, we need to bring him back. It's a vicious loop. We got to end the loop.
He even brings out freaking lollipops with little razor blades in them.
He's like, whoosh.
See, I'll tell you what, his name is the Candyman. Shit. I've been avoiding it the whole time. His name makes far more sense in this film than it did in the first one.
Definitely. So another thing about this movie actually happens in the end credits. We saw it during the trailers when this movie film was being marketed, but the shadow puppet, and there was a lot of really good shadow puppetry as the film was going through. Like when Burke was telling the legends of the older Candyman, like the first one, Robitaille. And then we see Sherman a few shots. But the one thing I really enjoyed was when the credits are actually rolling, we saw the puppetry of all the Candymen.
Yes, I liked that too.
We saw, because we didn't have to see Robitaille's again because we saw his, but we saw the kid who was shot was dragged, or the family
was
that
dragged by the truck.
was dragged by
with
the
a
truck,
hook.
and then you see like the black family moving into a white neighborhood, and this mob of people in front of them, and then they get killed, and just all these atrocities, and eventually you see Sherman's. You see the little Candy, and then the cops show in, and just all that shadow puppetry throughout the whole film was just it.
I agree. When we talked about the trailer that first showed the shadow puppetry, we all agreed that I hope this is in the movie, and I was really glad at how often it's used in the movie. I think it's used to a great effect.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
especially because when we see Helen's story done from the perspective of the people of Cabrini Green that don't know what happened, and the perspective of the mother when she finally tells the true story. Even though we've seen the first film, it's still an effective visual to use the shadow puppets rather than flashbacking to the original film.
Also, we had no idea, but the mom is the original mom from the first movie. We didn't know that until after we got out of the movie.
No. I knew that was the same actor. I just didn't realize in the trailers that she was in this movie because I wasn't paying enough attention. But when she was in the scene, that's when I knew, oh, he's the baby. She's the mom, because Ryan had said it, and then she showed up, and I'm like, oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Let me rephrase. I didn't know that until after we got out of the movie.
Vanessa Williams, right?
Yeah,
Nefessa.
She looks like almost exactly the same. Like it's been 20 years, and she's aged super gracefully. I didn't like that woman. How is that like that's her kid? Like they look the same age to me. Like it was.
Well,
like,
it's funny.
It looks so good at her age.
Yeah.
It's funny because Yahya Abdul Mateen, he who plays Anthony, I knew he was playing the baby going in, but the baby was 2 years old in 1992. Yahya was born in 1986.
Yeah, he's a little, a
little older, but that's what
fungible range.
No, I think that adds to what Ryan was talking about, how the characters kind of look the same. Like they could be the same age, because Yahya is playing younger but is older, and she just looks great for her age.
Yeah.
Like
the music,
routine is she looks flawless.
The music, still using that Philip Glass score, but like doing new stuff with it.
I wanted the original theme played more. I really like that original theme, and I like how it's used in the original movie. We only really get a like full version of it in the credits.
I thought they used it sparingly in a good way for Candyman. I thought that they allowed it to be separate of that theme enough. Personally, I didn't need it. I think that where it was present was good, and when it hit in the credits, it was good. Like the fact that it was really only attached mostly to when we were talking about, because it felt like it was only attached to like for the audience, it's only attached when it's referring to Tony Todd's Candyman, whether that's through Helen Lyle's story or through the retelling of his story, but it's not attached to like every iteration of Candyman necessarily.
So
until the credits,
besides some of the stuff that Sparks brought up that I didn't realize until realizing myself, I only had one problem with the movie, and I didn't realize it until we were talking about it in the car.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you're going to bring it up.
It's why does the brother tell a ghost story randomly at a party?
Yes.
Who does that?
I think the setup for this story is bad.
It is bad.
I think that like there's so many steps that could have been done in different ways to get that story told at the beginning to make Anthony ask the questions.
Yeah.
But it's literally just, we're having a night out. All right, I decided I'm going to tell this scary story about Helen for some reason. And then they just cut when he's done with the story. They cut to them leaving. That's the end. That's all it was there for.
Ben, how often when we're hanging out, I just turn the lights off and tell you a spooky story?
Never.
I'm just saying.
Don't disagree. Yeah, I agree. But I do like that the story of Tony Todd's character has been buried. I'm trying really hard to avoid it. Has been buried so much that the story is about Helen Lyle. I think that's really cool.
It's just the setup getting there.
It makes sense that it would be about Helen Lyle, and I think that's all. I think that's all good. I think they were like, well, we don't want him to hear about Candyman first. We want him to hear about Helen first.
Yeah.
So that's how he goes on down the path, and I think that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. I think there were good ways to have told. I told Ryan, I'm like, it would have been better if they didn't know the story, but his white boyfriend did, because he came from that area, and he knows it because he's more interested in like the atrocities that happened to a white woman there, or with a white woman, involving a white woman. And so he brings that up.
There are so many ways they could have set up the reason to tell the story, and they kind of just do it out of nowhere.
They just do the laziest way, which is it had to happen, so here it is.
Like that's my real only complaint. Like this is like, I agree. The movie's like not very. It's like less than 2 hours long. Like it's super short. Like no fat. I love the end. That's just the one complaint. It's like you couldn't find a better way to set up.
I didn't think about it. But yeah, I agree. My only.
I told Ryan when I brought it up when we were driving home from the movie, I'm like, a lot of movie happened, so I hadn't thought about it until we were driving home, and then I'm like, you know, it's really weird the way the brother brought up the story. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Ben, you want to say something, and then I want to move into what my complaint was. So.
I was gonna say I never really thought about it because when I was driving home, I was thinking about everything that happened, like all the events, the painting stuff, the arm.
The scariest part is when Yaya just goes, "Don't look at those."
Yeah, that
legitimately terrified me.
Yeah. So now that you bring that up, it's like, oh damn, yeah, that is kind of dumb. How like he finds out about Candyman.
It's at the beginning of the movie, so it's easy to forget. But yeah, it is a bad setup.
It does feel like they worked backwards and then just never found a good lead-in.
Yeah.
And so just decided to leave it alone.
Yeah.
It just needed a better lead-in, and I wouldn't have a problem with it. But it does feel like it's happening because it has to.
Because the script demands.
Yeah. Keep going. I got my cat out of the room.
I guess complaint isn't the right word, and I'm not going to use it because it's not the right word at all. I find it questionable that anybody would say it, like say his name at all. And one of the things that is so funny to me, and in the first film does it too, is that there are people like getting off on it. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to say this horrible thing that we might get us murdered while you're just getting ready to F me. And I'm like, that's just, to me, is just so funny.
So that's a you thing, Brandon, because I am a daredevil and I'm an adrenaline junkie. So if I heard about this, like I was the kid who used to say Bloody Mary in the mirror and stuff like that. Like, yeah, like those stupid.
I'm way too superstitious for that.
The stupid high school kids, of course they would do that.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I in no way mean the high school kids.
Yeah,
it's just other instances where the narrative says we need to kill here. They're like, let's do it. It doesn't make
what the movie is.
We're getting too far off of this.
No, I just like I get you.
No, but I mean, like, I think that's a fair point, Brandon, which is that is speaking from like your personal engagement with like superstitions and that kind of thing. And I do think that there are people out there like Ryan, like other people I've known in my life who would do this. They would say it under those circumstances. And it is to some extent speaking to a disbelief in the idea that some black specter that was punished by white people would ever come back and kill. It's just an absolute disrespect on the entire mythos of it. And it definitely, there are people that would do it. Would all those types of people that would do it necessarily be in such a close bubble to each other?
Yeah.
Probably not. But these people definitely exist.
I'm not saying they don't. I was just lamenting that I, as my own personal thing, don't understand the compulsion. Narratively, I often felt like there was only two moments where it narratively made sense for it to happen because most of the time when I saw it, it felt like they were just like, we need to kill, we need to scare, we need something scary right here.
You know what? I won't disagree with you, but we're watching a horror movie where people have to die.
So I will say the one that felt that I was like, I kind of expected us to learn that she didn't say it, but then she apparently did because she was killed. The art critic Finley, and
that's exactly who I was talking about.
So the biggest reason for that for me is that I wouldn't say it only under the pretense that like I think that there's very easily a perspective where you play into the fact that she wouldn't say it out of fear of what he would do because he's present and acting weird in her house. In her apartment, rather than being concerned necessarily about the thing itself. And I just have a hard time anticipating her in the unclear uncomfortability that she was sitting in. Her choosing to do it in that moment is hard for me to believe. It's not hard for me to believe that she would ever do it, but in that moment, it's a little bit It's a little bit.
I don't know.
That's
I mean, for
the
me,
moment I was referring to.
that's fair. I guess for me, like she is doing this piece on him when she didn't believe him before, or like she doesn't believe like this is a murder thing, but like she didn't believe in the art before, and now she does. So like
I get
he
that.
even dares her, and like
I know he does.
it's like as a joke, like what's gonna happen? Candyman, right? Like I totally bought that she did that.
It's very much in a context of like I feel like under the circumstances it'd be more likely she would do it later that night after he'd left.
Well, that's fair.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's the fact that he's there acting cagey and strange
Yeah.
in her house, and people have been murdered, and that's what she knows. People have been murdered around his piece, and there's an amount to her being concerned about her own safety because of him, not necessarily because of the thing itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think under those circumstances she would necessarily say that name 5 times into a mirror.
Sure.
But I can let that go. I can let that go pretty easily.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call that a nitpick, but I definitely am like, that does feel like that's happening more to service the moment than it is to service because I thought that was going to be the whole thing. I honestly thought that's what we were going to get, is that when we were seeing him in the mirror was because he was seeing him, and that's what his engagement was, and we were going to learn no, she didn't say it then, and we were going to like find out later that she said it later on,
Mm-hmm.
or we were going to see after he left that's when she finally looked in the mirror and did it, that kind of thing. It's fine. I think that kill's really cool because I love that kill. It's one of my favorites in the whole film because it looks like the shadow puppet.
Yeah.
And I think that's incredible, the way that they created it to look like the shadow puppet.
Yeah. For me, in horror movies, I'll never get mad that people die in horror movies, because especially one where all the kills are so unique and cool, especially the high school scene where it's all in the mirror. I was getting Suicide Squad helmet fight flashbacks right there.
Even better than the mirror is the first one who gets killed, and you have them looking
You just look at
under,
the blood?
and it's the blood that trickles and then pools.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's so good because it's servicing your imagination rather than showing you, and that's what a lot of the bathroom kills did.
The girl, when whatever happens, like the I think the window opens and it makes a noise. It's just like nope, and she just leaves.
Out. Smartest girl in the movie.
Yeah.
Importantly, I think it's cool, and it's fascinating to compare. In the 1992 original film, Candyman kills a decent chunk of black people, but in this one, all victims only white. And of course, it's through the circumstances of like them engaging with the mythos, but I do think that's kind of nice. That's what ended up happening. That we didn't have to see black violence paved off of. This was another one that kind of irked the black film critics, is the pointed use of "Say My Name" in the post George Floyd era, which I'm like, I'm going to back off on that from the film because this movie was made before.
Yeah.
Right. But I do think, like, I understand where the context of it, the connotation is talking about like the profiteering off of black body violence.
I 100% get that.
Which I understand why that is something where, like, if you are analyzing from that angle, I get why you will see it. And I think that there's definitely a reasonable amount of like discussion around commodification off of black violence, and where is it acceptable and where is it actually pushing something and saying something, and where is it just profiteering. And I'm not saying that I don't know if I really know where Candyman lands on that line, honestly. I think it's more net positive than net negative.
You just said it. They kill all white people in this movie.
Right.
I
think it's more net positive than net negative personally, but I understand that is a broader conversation. This is something that came up when we talked about Batwoman just a few weeks ago, where I was like, that was definitely more for like, we're getting in on the thing. I just learned that Supergirl's about to have a Black Lives Matter episode.
Oh, wow.
That they just commented on. So like, it definitely feels like we got to do it now because that's the thing that's the thing that we're doing right now. And I'm like, I understand wanting to be a part of that conversation, especially when you have creatives who are involved, who are part of the community.
Yeah.
But it's that it's got to be with purpose, not just to be representative of the fact that you care.
Yeah.
Again, not saying Candyman falls in that line, but I do understand where like having a lot of that out there makes you more sensitive to where that material lands.
Yeah.
I think Nia DaCosta's directing is incredible.
Yeah.
I think the visuals in this film are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely stunning. I think I agree with that one quote I pulled up, which was that her directing is subtle where the script is not at times. I think the film is gorgeous. I'm so excited for the Marvels.
Oh yeah.
The whole sequence in the art gallery with the mirrors is so good. Watching him travel through the mirrors as he's there and not there and that kind of thing.
Cutting the projector in half.
Really great. And the dragging part, all great.
Yeah,
I love the finale where you see all the different. It just reminds me. I keep saying Ghost Rider, but like he turns into all the different mantles of the people who have been Candyman as he's saying the quotes, and then he turns into Tony Todd at the end. Just beautiful, beautiful stuff, man.
Tell everyone.
He keeps the guy alive to spread the message, to like restart. And again, like I like this movie a lot, and I don't necessarily need sequels or anything, but the way that they turn Candyman into a mantle, this could easily be done by like just get every couple years, give it to a new black filmmaker and just do Candyman again. Again, like I'm a white dude saying this. Maybe you shouldn't make any more Candyman. I don't know.
Even more now than a mantle, he's a weapon against white supremacy. And
turn him into an anti-hero, sure.
White villainy. I really like that ending. I do. I think it's super strong. It reminded me. I told Ryan it reminds me a lot of the Lovecraft Country ending, where it's very much like this isn't for you anymore. This is now ours.
Magic.
You don't get to have this kind of thing over us anymore. This is now our thing to use against you.
I really like the inclusion of Tony Todd, as little as it was. Good de-aging technique because he didn't really need to do it for a long time.
I thought he was present in exactly the amount he needed to be.
Yeah. And when he says tell everyone to the girl, because the girl summoned her boyfriend, right? They weren't married, right?
Yeah, they're boyfriend.
Boyfriend. Because she summoned the guy. I thought that was really cool that it, as Spark said, like you do kind of like almost use them as a weapon. Reminded, and Ryan, you said something that reminded me of if a slasher film goes on long enough, eventually they become the hero of something.
It's definitely one of those things where like I'm happy to see it because it's like we need more things that are doing this anyway. And again, like I do think it's filling that like that mainstream level need where we all kind of need to get on this page and agree like this is good. Some of the cop stuff's a little heavy-handed. Like the way that he goes at her in the car, I'm like that's a little laying it on thick.
That was very thick. That was very thick when he was like, there's two stories. I'm like, dude, really?
But I get what it's doing, and I understand. Like it is a little heavy-handed, but it needs to be done to justify the ending, and the ending's really good. And so I'm like, I don't mind it.
Speaking of the ending, I've been wanting to say this. So I also love the ending. I love the ending, the inclusion of Tony Todd when he says "tell everyone." But another thing, going back, and my memory might be a little hazy from the first Candyman film, but this one doesn't end with Candyman. I mean, obviously he doesn't die, but it doesn't end with him getting beaten in a way. Like with a lot of these movies, like with It or with Halloween, the villain, the thing that's been killing everyone, eventually it either dies or gets beaten or just gets pushed back.
Well, it's kind of like almost like a new Candyman though. Like
it's not and even beyond that, like the thing was that Candyman didn't really die at the end of the 1992 one. Yes, Helen stabbed him in the fire and everything, but the reason that Candyman stopped being there is because people stopped saying his name.
Yeah.
After that incident, the reason Candyman doesn't come back is because the person that he was after, because she had brought him in, she died, which means he's done now. But when
it's almost like a curse, you gotta bring it back.
But because of so it seems. This is me really stretching, which is the thing that I kind of wish was in the movie a little clearer, or at least between the 1992 one and this was a little clearer. It seems like the purpose of having the baby, right? And then having him grow up now is to be a Candyman who is free. Because when she summons him, he doesn't have to kill her. He kills the cops. Mm-hmm. Now he is free to dispense his justice in his way for Black people. It is no longer call me in the mirror and I'll come kill you.
It's no longer a Freddy Krueger.
Call me in the mirror and I will come kill the people who will kill you.
He is like an anti-hero. Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Because in the 92 film, Helen is stabbing him, trying to beat him. Whereas in this one, at the very end of the movie, it's like, I don't have to do that anymore.
He's not
It's
really
like,
the villain in this movie.
Yeah.
Which is
Like,
interesting.
You're right. There's really no Not really.
Those cops are villains.
Well, yeah.
towards the we don't. There's
you could make a reasonable argument that Burke is a bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, true, but you can say there's nothing in this movie that creates an antagonistic force that is trying to kill our protagonist. Our protagonist is actively being turned into the antagonist.
Like our protagonist is just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and of course he keeps telling the people he meets about the Candyman legend.
Place, actually.
Or
he was always meant to be there.
Yeah, but either way, he keeps telling these people about these legends, or even if he inadvertently tells them, like the high school girl, she was at the art gallery, she hears the name, and then she goes back to school and does what school kids do, is like, hey, let's try out this dumb, stupid legend, lol, and then, spoilers, they all die.
Spoilers.
I've never seen the sequels to Candyman. I've never been too curious. Does this retcon the sequels? Like,
just like Halloween, it just ignores them.
It doesn't retcon them, but it doesn't acknowledge. So they're just more of.
They're just slasher movies.
So Tony Todd's character, the sequels are about one of his descendants, is involved, and so like it makes this like genealogical connection that Candyman has over the family, and that's in both 2 and 3. But it doesn't undo anything there, but it also makes no direct reference to him.
Cool. I was just curious.
Yeah, they're entirely isolated. Those films were not going for the same messaging about like Cabrini Green and like the idea of the Chicago projects and things like that.
Fun fact: after the release of Freddy vs. Jason, they wanted to make a Candyman versus Leatherface movie. When they approached Tony Todd, he said, "I will never make a movie like that," and I respect him for it.
Yeah.
And they wanted to do so many movies. Freddy versus Jason versus Ash,
well,
Leatherface to Candyman.
Because that's the whole thing is like the furthering of Candyman. The reason why like Candyman kind of dwindled out, Tony Todd didn't want to do things like that, is because it was further taking the teeth out of what the representation of Candyman meant.
They just became slasher movie
for Black horror, and it was reducing it down to this is sellable, this is marketable, this is commodification.
Yeah.
I really like Teyonah Parris in this.
Yeah,
I think she's great. I wish she was in it a little more, or at least that there was a little bit more explored of her character. I think there is a cool nugget there with the stuff with her connection to her dad.
Tortured dead dad.
I just don't think it's
done
enough. Yeah. I like the idea of it, but and like that there being this idea of her carrying on the burden of her family's history.
She cares for tortured artists. Yeah.
Right. But I just don't think that they go far enough with it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Is that little girl from Us? The girl who plays the young...
Not sure. I don't know.
I'm going to look that up. I don't know if I have much more to add.
No. I had a real good time. I've been thinking about just the opening credits with like Chicago skyline inverted, so you just see like the fog.
So good.
And it's really ominous, and it's like it's amazing that like what you can do with film to like turn regular things into like atmospheric dread.
Which is all about how like look how many skyscrapers they put up.
Yeah,
over us.
It's not like that when all the logos like Universal, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, all of them, they're all reversed.
They're all reversed mirrors.
When I saw that, I turned to Zara. I go, "Did they put the print in backwards? Is this supposed to be happening?"
I thought the same thing too. I was like, "Hold up, something's not right here." And then I just saw a trailer. I know it's not the same thing, but what's going on? And then it's like, "Oh wait!" And then Ryan, because I was like, Ryan leaned over to me. He's like, "It's a mirror, Ben." I'm like, "Oh."
I love anytime that there's a mirror and like Candyman's doing shit. There are bees on the opposite side, like trying to get in the mirror.
Yeah, that's
good. Always a great effect. Bees are awesome. I love bees.
I really enjoyed that. that effect as well.
mean, I'm not gonna go out and try and squish bees, but now every time I see a bee, I'm gonna look around, make sure there's no mirror close to me.
Bees are the greatest.
I think Mateen turns in a powerful performance. I think it's really raw, in a really strong way.
Great,
some really striking and incredible emotional moments.
Great practical effects with him turning into a honeycomb man. I think just disgusting.
When he's vulnerable, he's so good. He has that one moment when he starts talking to her and he says, "I think I made a mistake."
Yeah.
And I think he's so excellent, and especially in the scene with his mom, the moment when he knows because of what she says that he is the baby for sure, she confirms it, and he has that reaction, and she's still talking to him, trying to explain,
and he's just like walking out the door, and she's like,
and how it recontextualizes like his entire relationship with his mom, because you know like there's stuff going on there, but you're not quite sure what. If you didn't know, like myself, who didn't look into it.
Oh yeah, the whole thing with him, like wishing he could take back summoning him. It is really good. I really liked him in this. The practical effects of turning him into the honeycomb design of the triggering the trypophobia is so good.
Yeah. And the other thing is like I think it does a good job of speaking to like the pain of engaging with that. Like it does speak to how awful it is when you have to actually face what's going on, as an analogy of like this violence against Black men and things like that. It very much does speak to how much it tortures you. It makes it a physical representation on the outside to be doing that, and you can't, once you've done it, you can't turn away from it. Once he lived in blissful ignorance, and then he couldn't anymore.
He opened Pandora's box.
There's even this implication, like earlier, I remember where like I believe it's the art critic who's talking about his pieces before the Candyman pieces, and saying like, you know, this is very much like what people are kind of saying about this film, which is that it's kind of the pandering to the wider audience to build your personal success off the profit of this imagery. And because we see like the hands with the noose, and we know like kind of what his art pieces were doing before that, but then it becomes personal and it becomes real, and that's what he's engaging with for the rest of the movie. And I think as an analogy of that, it is really powerful, because it's you know, it as painful as it is, you can't just turn away from it, and you will get sucked down into it, and it will beat you and degrade you, and there's really nothing to be done about it because it is what's happening. And I think in that sense, it's really strong.
There's a point that you made that reminded me of something, but I don't remember what it was at this point, so I guess I don't have anything to add.
Oh no.
Anything else we want to add then?
I really liked it. I think this might be one of the best rebootquels is in horror or in general.
Yeah. What would you rate it?
9.5.
Hell yeah.
Ryan?
Man. 9. Solid hard 9.
Ben?
Oh, no one else to give it 9.5.
Nice.
8.
Nice.
All right, so we go into a book club then?
Book it up.
Benjamin,
That's
take
me.
it away.
Yep. So my book club is Batman.Last Night on Earth by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, with Jonathan Glapion and FCO. It's spelled FCO. I don't know if it's FCO or FCO Placencia. Names are hard. So yeah, this was this is a Batman Black Label book. It's the first one that, as far as I can remember, that wasn't in the large magazine format like Damned or Harleen was. It was in like regular comic book format. And of course, this is Scott Snyder's and Greg Capullo's one of their last Batman stories that they've done as a team. So
the last.
Yeah, it was the last one. So what'd you guys think of it?
I remember reading this not too long ago. I have it in single issues because I have all of Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo's. Batman stuff. I wanted to be sure that when they were like, "This is our last one," I'm like, "Okay, make sure to get those 3 issues."
Yeah.
I enjoy it. It's a fun story. It's a fun dystopia. What anyone else?
Yeah, I think it's fun. I didn't love it. It might be my least favorite of their work because I've read all of the New 52 Batman. I think it's a great story. I remember reading Old Man Logan, and I'm like, oh right, this is just Old Man Logan. It's almost Old Man Logan to a T, where there's a road trip, and then the villain you fight at the end has a trophy collection of all the dead heroes that have been killed. And I'm like, cool, I've read the story before. The Elseworld stuff's cool. I don't think the story does enough for me to really latch on to anything, to be honest.
Sparks?
I would more or less be echoing what Ryan just said.
Yeah. So this is the first time I was reading it. I've only read the first issue when I got it, and then I didn't get the rest of the issues, and I found out it was in trade, and my mom was kind enough to get me the trade. But I liked it. I definitely got a lot of death metal vibes from it. A lot of metal and death metal vibes, especially death metal with Batman and Wonder Woman. But other than that, I feel like I've definitely I feel like when Scott Snyder and he tries to go like big, like really, really big, it kind of fumbles along the way. Whereas like I'm in a dystopia, been there before. You get Batman trying to, like, the one dynamic I did like is the Joker's head in the jar, constantly asking Batman if he can be a Robin.
This is a controversial opinion. It's happened maybe like twice in modern comics, but those 2 times that Batman and Joker have teamed up, I've really enjoyed. The other one was Batman Europa, which I thought was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite parts of this book is Joker. And the way that they do him and the way they do that relationship.
Joker,
I think the other thing I like is like the setup of this, which is the Superman Luthor debate.
Yeah,
I think that's a really cool concept in the way that it didn't go the way that they thought it would. And
that
like,
Lex Luthor
Superman
dies instead. The Superman dies instead.
Yeah, that Superman definitely won that debate, and then people like chose Doom.
Yeah, this ties in to like. It feels like an alternate like future of his Justice League stuff, because that's dealing with Doom and Justice and all that like intricate stuff too. So if you're reading Justice League at the time, it's like this fits almost right into there.
You do have like a little bit of a repetition in the concept, I think, especially like practically just altering the words a little bit, saying the same thing of how Joker and Luthor have come to view Superman and Batman. At one point, the way that they're both talking about them, I'm like, yeah, all right. I mean, I get it. Like, cool that they came around.
You're his best friend. Yeah, I get you.
One of the things I really enjoyed was the opening scenes of the book where Bruce is in the hospital and then Alfred's like, no one blames you. It's kind of like, part of me kind of wanted to explore that this has all been in Bruce's head the whole time, like all his doctor. I mean,
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think that's the dumbest part of this book.
Why is it in this book?
Yeah.
Oh, the beginning when he's in the like the mental institution or whatever.
Yeah. Where he's in Arkham, and then it's revealed that, oh no, this is all a sham because we want to give you a life, and then it turns out it's like, what life is there to live in a fake Gotham anyway?
So the worst part of that to me is that Alfred went, the best way to give Bruce a good life is to make him think he's been insane for years.
That seems wrong.
That's me, Alfred Pennyworth, wanting to make the boy I love crazy, or at least think he's crazy.
Yeah.
What?
Like
what is that?
Once we get into like what the actual story is, even I was like, that part was just dumb.
I'll tell you what.
Like, why was there?
If the first issue would have just started with Bruce's hand coming out of the sand, the comic would have been the exact same.
Yeah,
for me. Literally, because like you don't learn any real information about the outside world until he's into the world. So like, besides seeing like, oh, what if Harley Quinn was actually a doctor? Like, which I've seen before. They've done this type of thing before.
Also, like the whole case with Joe Chill's kid, is like poorly explained. How the Joker at the end was like, I was behind it all, Batman.
I was confused about that too. I wasn't sure what.
So he's saying that he faked the record. So it wasn't Thomas who killed Joe Chill's kid. And he set up the boy and everything.
But what was the point of it? To be the last.
It means that like his lack of faith in like Batman was wrong.
Oh.
Because his father was never a drunk who fucked up, and he didn't deserve to be shot in the alley and all that stuff. because that's also stupid. The idea that like just simply being told like, yeah, your dad might have accidentally like, you know, like while he was drunk killed his kid, that means he and your mom both deserve to get shot in the alley. And I'm like, that's a take.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of the lines that I really like about the related, because it's related, I want to bring it up. When Scarecrow is about to kill Alfred, and Omega is the one who says, "It's okay, you saved them. They didn't go down the alley."
Yeah, I thought that was really
Alfred.
sweet.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I knew Omega was like the real Bruce Wayne. The whole like the second he shows, I was like, "There's Bruce."
I was hoping it wasn't.
Me too.
I didn't know who it was gonna be. I'm glad it wasn't Nightwing, because Nightwing being leader of the Court of Owls is like hella dope. That's like that's a cool Elseworld thing I'm into. I like all like the like Wonder Woman's fine. Like I've seen other versions of that already. Like you said, like in Death Metal and like Wonder Woman Dead Earth and stuff. Barbara, and then there's like Barbara's kid, Bryce, who's like has like 3 lines. Like, okay, cool. She's got a like resist tattoo on her face. All right.
You bring up Nightwing as the Court of Owls leader. I really like the redesigned owl assembled costumes for the fallen heroes and even Batgirl. And they showed us Tim's, and then they like Damian didn't get one because he died before all this. I thought that was pretty effective, and I really liked those designs.
Yeah, the idea of the bat symbol being corrupted, so the Court of Owls like kind of became the new heroes. I like that idea a lot. I think that's a pretty cool idea.
I also think the concept of like he held open the door is poorly illustrated.
Yeah.
Like
they use that line a lot.
Exactly what that was.
Yeah, they keep mentioning that. And the only time they show a shot of Bruce opening the door so people can go into the Hall of Justice, it's like an aerial shot, and there's just a mob of people, and you can definitely see there's Batman. But they keep mentioning like, Bruce, you held open the door. It's like, let me see, not from an aerial shot. Let me see that up close. Give me that emotional response of because every time they say, but Bruce, you held open the door, and it's because you held the door open that I will fight for you. It's like, let me see the damn part of him being Hodor, or no, not Hodor, the reverse of Hodor.
Backdoor.
This is a comic that does the sin of more talking, less showing, pretty extremely. But I echoing back, like I didn't want it to be Bruce Wayne because I'm really tired of like the only person who can stop Batman is Batman.
Batman is Batman's greatest enemy.
Maybe it's a different version of Batman, or Batman from blah 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 blah.
I mean, that's been Scott Snyder's like approach to all those events.
I know. And I'm over it.
Yeah, the fake Batman concept, I was really hoping it was actually a corrupted clone. And this is the second time they've cloned and the Batman we're following is the second time they've cloned him. I wasn't crazy about the idea of it being the original Bruce Wayne. Yeah. Certainly the second time around.
Yeah. But going on the art, Greg Capullo's art is glorious, but I really want to highlight one panel. It's the very last panel of the book. It's like the family photo shot of everyone. Robin. But one thing I have to mention, look at baby Superman. His eyes are like, what the fuck did I just get into?
Yeah, he's got some big old eyes.
Big F-word day for us.
I haven't said it yet.
I love Joker up in his big robot body looking like Megamind's minion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
This is kind of a culmination in Scott Snyder. I really like Scott Snyder's Batman run. One of the things I really didn't like was his Future State issue. If you remember that event, when it was revealed that Batman, and then this came up in Heavy, specifically, the last arc he did. The idea that Bruce Wayne has a copy of himself at his peak that will just keep cloning for generation after generation after generation. And that concept never worked for me because the idea of Batman being...
It takes away from being a man.
Well, yeah, that too. But I've never liked the idea that Batman's mission was hopeless.
Yeah.
Because what's happened in modern day DC, especially with this cloning idea, is that the world will always need Batman. Gotham will always need Batman, which means his duty, his like whole thing to make Gotham better is perpetually never ending.
It's
It
honestly
also makes everyone else in the Bat family seem superfluous.
yes. It's
Like,
my
why
biggest
would you
problem.
have them if Batman can just lose and then come back cloned?
Yes, it's my biggest problem, honestly. Like, and I really like Scott Snyder's Batman run, and even like the stuff I don't like about the two metal events. There's stuff I do like about them. The thing I don't like that what he's done with Batman, he's made Batman like a Destiny type character where everything rides on Batman, and like the world wouldn't be the same without Batman. And like Batman, like the entire universe is centered on this one dude. He's supposed to be a human being. That's what makes Batman special. He's a dude. And like when you start adding all this sci-fi, like, oh, I will never not be Batman because I have a clone ready I have a Krakoan clone just ready. Like I got X-Men shit going. I'm like, that's lame. That takes away what Batman cool to me, you know?
Like the only time I liked the Batman clone story was when I don't know if it was in like Detective 1000 or something. Sean Murphy drew it. I want to say Scott Snyder wrote it and Sean Murphy drew it. That's the only time I liked it because I like Sean Murphy's art a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the one where he meets the older version of himself who then becomes the Alfred.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was all right. I like that issue.
I mean, yeah, I really like that bit, but other than that, seeing a clone of Bruce Wayne's like, oh, the world always needs a Batman, or going back, like the world doesn't need Batman. Gotham, sure. I mean, Amanda Waller does it. That's how we get Terry McGinnis.
But here's the thing, Ben. What I was getting at, Ben, is that the clone Batman idea I think works the best in this because it's about the clone Batman. But the clone Batman idea as a concept never sit well with me because Gotham shouldn't always need a Batman. There should be a point in Batman's life where Gotham gets better.
Yeah.
Or again, you don't always need Bruce Wayne to be Batman. There are a dozen other Bat characters who could take the mantle.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like,
Damian
it
Wayne?
makes the whole idea of him training all these other people seem stupid.
Worthless.
Why would he do that when he can lose the mission and come back?
Okay, this might be going back to the anniversary issue, but I remember there's like a short story where it's old Bruce Wayne talking to his granddaughter. And like everyone knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman at this point, but there's this huge party at the mansion. The scene is like his granddaughter comes in and there's a bunch of books behind him which are like The Long Halloween, Hush, all this stuff. And he's just like, well, I can't be Batman anymore. But then you see Gotham's at peace. And I want to say Damian is Batman now. But you see a Batman, but Bruce is at peace. Selina is at peace. Gotham is at peace, knowing that we got Batman and it's not a shithole that it used to be.
The whole idea that Batman's mission will never end, he'll never save Gotham, is just supremely depressing to me.
Yeah.
What's
I'm
one
not
Greek?
I'm not against that. Go ahead, man.
What's that one Greek tragedy or that Greek myth about the Titan who pushes the boulder up the hill? What's the Titan's name?
It's the man who pushes up the hill, pushes the boulder up a hill.
Yeah, and every time the boulder gets up to the top, it always rolls back down, no matter how hard it tries.
Yeah, it sounds right.
Sisyphus, I think.
Yeah, so turning Batman's quest to save Gotham into that is like, no.
But here's the thing, like that's the conundrum of comics. Like if we're always in the second act, like Gotham always has to be crap because in Batman, that's why Batman exists. Like I don't need.
They can flash forward to the future and see that Gotham is all right, or see that Gotham is better with a different person under the cowl.
Yeah.
Bruce's mission constantly failing so that he has to keep cloning himself is depressing. Moving on to another...
That's like definitely a more modern thing.
That's what I'm talking about. Like modern comics, this idea of cloning, it perpetually creates this idea that Bruce Wayne is locked in a struggle to save Gotham that he will never win. I don't mind if it's Bruce Wayne dies and doesn't finish 100% and Dick Grayson takes it on or Damian Wayne takes it on. I don't mind that. I mind that Bruce Wayne is constantly going to relive trying to save Gotham and lose.
Yeah,
sure. But this comic it has a lot of empty moments that I'm just kind of like, I guess this means something. Like Catwoman giving Diana the original lasso.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
What does that mean? You didn't give me any reason to believe that the lasso you had wasn't the original one.
Yeah, that was weird.
And then you do nothing with it after.
Exactly, yeah.
Other than, I guess, kill John?
Yeah, like the only cool part about when they do go visit Selina is that she's like, oh yeah, you see that rope over there? I'm supposed to push that when I'm supposed to pull it when you all showed up. And they're like, and she's like, hold on. It's supposed to when you break in. You knock at the door and you're nice. There's the screamer sticks in the back. Have fun.
It's very similar to like some of the issues I had when we did Heavy Metal, which is like a lot of these things are like cool concepts, but they're not explored characters.
Yeah.
I do think that the Greg Capullo's art is great. We've always said so.
I've never
That's
had a
not
problem with
dispute.
Yeah,
I really.
I've never had a problem with Capullo's art. It's the times I feel like at this point, especially because Scott Snyder, after when he did New 52, because he was the Batman writer for New 52 for the longest, and yep, there's Brian's issue signed by him, and that initial run was just so damn good. I feel that Snyder has really been trying to do something better, or something like, oh, I got to do something to top this. It's like, I feel that if he just went back to the roots of Court of Owls, on the street story, not this grand cosmic world-ending or world-saving event. It's like, just do an on the street story. It could be Bruce Wayne as Batman's last mission under the cowl. After tonight, he's done so.
Well, this is a Black Label. This is a Black Label Elseworld story. So this is the place to do that kind of crap.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It's just like it's a lot of like really big shiny toys. But like the ways to make them interact with each other don't always agree or make a lot of sense.
I'll give you an example. Something that's visually cool. A platoon of unknown soldiers fighting Animal Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
But story-wise, that does nothing for the story.
Right.
It's just a cool visual. Seeing a giant Swamp Thing monster, very cool for me, Swamp Thing fan. What does that add to the story?
Tornado and flashes.
Not a lick. Tornado and flashes. Beautiful imagery. What does it add to the story? Nothing.
Doesn't even get
resolved. A lot of cool stuff.
It's just you knowing why they're not involved in anything anymore.
Yep.
Seeing a dead Mogo and a bunch of zombies with Green Lantern rings.
Slingers? I like that. That's an interesting idea. I don't know if that would work with Green Lantern lore if they're dead, but I don't care.
Yeah. But
power batteries destroyed. I don't think it matters.
Yeah. But there's good stuff in this book. Do not get me wrong. I know I feel like we've been really negative on this book, which I was
trying to say something positive for a second there.
Oh yeah. But you got anything, Brandon?
No, it's fine. You go.
Yeah. Other than, I still enjoy this. I'm not mad I got it. I'm glad I finally read it. But at the same time, as I was reading it, it's like I felt like there's like, because Scott Snyder's grand cosmic stuff that I really got into was his Justice League run. Yeah. Was like when you have Proxima or hearing the stuff about like Lex Luthor is bringing the Legion of Doom in. It's like it's all about Doom, and then it's like those ideas. I'm like, yeah, that's really cool. I like that. Whereas when they're implemented in this book, I was like, Batman is the sole reason that everything went to shit, and now he's the sole reason everything is gonna get out of the shit.
I think the biggest thing for me, like, I do think that there's cool concepts, good art. I really like. I can't stress enough. I love Joker Robin. I think there is really cool stuff here, and like conceptually the world building is good.
Yeah.
My thing is that when you get down to the end of it and Omega and the Bruce clone face off, he just beats him, and there's no real triumph in it. There's no sense of like the reason why I should win is because of X, Y, or Z. It's just old Bruce loses and new Batman is right because there is reason to believe in people in a world where like they fundamentally proved there wasn't. And
I will say there is one line that I do like, and I didn't take a picture of it. But it's when Bruce is talking about, okay, so like I am super positive and I'm not like all of you are super depressed. Like, and maybe I am the right Batman for this world because I am young and I am ready to try to save the world. And that is a positive Batman that I like.
But by Omega talking to him in the end, it's also proven that it's like, no, you're just a Bruce who didn't have his flesh torn apart and beaten and seared as you watched your son die from the people you were trying to save.
Yeah.
That's all you are. You're just me before that happened. That's it. That's the only difference.
And that's a plot that we've seen.
You just didn't live through pain and torture that I did. And I'm
plot
like,
we've seen a bunch.
Neat.
Yeah.
You're still saying this is the same dude just before that trauma happened.
Yeah. Great art. Love the art.
Since you brought up the art again, I wanted to say what I was trying to say earlier, which is that I think that the art, one of the things I really love about Greg Capullo is just how crazy he can go with designs. And yes, I agree. I'm not going to disagree with anything you guys said about its place in the story. but I really like looking at it. I really like the tornado of flashes. I think that's a cool design.
No, I agree. I agree.
I love the. I think the slingers. That's a really cool design. The Spectre being this giant cloak is really haunting, and I'm really into it.
Reminds me of Dead Ant-Man and Old Man.
I think all that is excellent world building.
I think that's all I'm talking about. I'm only talking about visually, and I think that visually, yes, I love looking at it because I just think that it makes me want more of that art specifically.
I'm saying both. I think even in like the sense of what it is, it's good world building visually and for what it is good world building. I think again, it's the core. This isn't me rebuttaling your point, Brandon. I think your point is totally. This is me going somewhere else. I think all that world building is good. It does serve to fill out a world where it's like, look, all hopelessness just took over all of humanity. We totally lost.
Yeah,
totally. And like they gave up on themselves, thus they gave up on us. We all lose. It's just that the core fight that it comes down to at the end between the Batmen is not about why that wouldn't happen or why that shouldn't have happened or why they shouldn't give up on that idea or anything related to the sense of the world that they live in. It's just, I was traumatized, so I quit. And I'm young enough to have not been traumatized, so I don't. And that's all. And there's just nothing there. There's no substance to that.
And it's boring because it's Batman, and Batman's supposed to be the guy who's infallible. And I'm like, oh, okay, so it's just evil Batman, which is the next two events that you're also going to do. Like, oh.
Anything else?
Hey guys, you should definitely read Scott Snyder and Jock's Black Mirror Detective Comics run. I think his Detective Comics run, and I think Court of Owls is the best Scott Snyder comic books.
Yeah. Okay, Ryan, it's your book club next week.
Ooh! Yay! Hi, Mag. Thanks for stopping by late. I appreciate you anyway.
Yeah, I'll rewatch the episode soon, but always catch you later and stay safe. Good night, buddy.
You're the best.
All right, guys.
So,
Mag.
Shang-Chi comes out next week, y'all, and Shang-Chi has recently got a couple comics, but I thought the miniseries before the current ongoing was fine, and I don't want to read that because I recently read it. So I'm going to read a comic I haven't read in a long time, and it is Secret Avengers, written by Ed Brubaker and art by Mike Deodato. It is the second volume of Secret Avengers, issues 6 through 10. This is the Shang-Chi arc of Secret Avengers. I haven't read this in like 7 years or so we're going to revisit it because Shang-Chi comes out next week. Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. That leads in greatly to the end of the episode. Next week, we'll be talking about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Yeah, exciting. A new Marvel movie. The first time meeting a new solo character.
It's nice. It's been
a while.
2019.
Yeah, it's been since Captain Marvel, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've just been following characters we've already met recently. Admittedly, we've been introduced to new characters who will show up in the future, but this is like our first solo hero, new hero.
I'm ready.
Yeah. And then okay, cool. Check out some of the other. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe to this channel. Make sure to subscribe to us on the audio feeds. If you like audio podcasts, you can check out my show Conversation. I just put up a new episode with Ben Magnet from the Fake Nerd Podcast. Ben Magnet, not of this Fake Nerd Podcast. It's a different Fake Nerd Podcast.
No,
it's
Ben
not
Magnet of Basement Arcade pause menu.
Oh, you're right. But I should have done that. But yeah, no, it is the gentleman to my this way.
Hello.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
It was a fun one.
I'm probably going every other week, so the next episode will be Christian Renteria. I'm so sorry, I can't pronounce this. I'll have to listen to it again. That's the next episode, so stay tuned for that. And then, of course, you guys can check out other shows on this channel, such as Fake Nerds Watch, where we are currently we got a lot going on Fake Nerds Watch. We are doing 2 series concurrently. With What If and Lower Decks. Lower Decks, What If is done with the panel here, and Lower Decks is done with myself and Downright Nerdy, Michael Carls, and Just a Little Podcast, Cookie. And then, of course, you can check out our Marvel Disney Plus special with Mike Mottola. That's out now. Linked below. The latest episodes of both Fake Nerds Watch are linked below as well. And then new episodes coming soon. You can check out Basement Arcade Pause Menu. We're currently recording a lot for Basement Arcade Pause Menu. Can't wait for you guys to see it. I'm very excited. And Basement Arcade Pause Menu, which there's a couple of episodes.
You said Pause Menu twice.
Yeah, you've been saying pause menu the whole time.
Oh, well, Basement Arcade. Apologize. Basement Arcade is the recording a lot. That's the whatever I said there. I said about Basement Arcade. Basement Arcade Pause Menu. There's a couple episodes coming out for that. Ben, do you want to say what they are?
Yeah. So we had a special. Myself, Ryan, and Sparks did a Gamescom episode. That should Sparks. That's coming up tomorrow, right?
As long as my computer allows it.
If your computer is next to us, it comes up tomorrow. Other than that, it'll come up soon. And this week is my episode with Howard Scott Warshaw, the man who programmed the infamous ET video game for the Atari 2600. I was really, really excited to do that one. So yeah, when I got that episode recorded and done, I'm really hyped about that one.
Basement Arcade Pause Menu is also an audio show.
Yes.
So it'll be on the audio feed too. Fake Nerd Book Club. New episodes coming soon, probably. And, of course, Animation Station. Latest episode still Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom. So, new episodes coming soon. All right. So, Crafted by Z has some masks. Guys, we're still in a pandemic if you're not vaccinated, or even if you're vaccinated. Wear a mask. We have a couple left. Check out both those links below. We have a Patreon still for 2 more months? 1 more month.
One more
month. You can get the Don't Be a Dick. I'm so sorry that the the Stephen King is my best friend shirts are running late. Like I said, family stuff has been stalling a lot of things. But yeah, you get that exclusive shirt. Or you can subscribe to our $20 tier where Ryan has still promised to get you a ship in a bottle.
No one's done it yet.
That's true. And you can check out our TeePublic where you can find all sorts of shirts for logos and things like that. You can get my favorite. I'd rather be a fake nerd than a true fan. That's a great shirt that I love. Both those links are below, or you can find all these links on our website at www.fakenerdpodcast.com. Thank you to everyone who listens. Thank you to everyone who watches. Thank you to everyone who watches the replay. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Thank you to Jeremy Bellucci for our themes, all the themes you've heard throughout all of our shows, and all the music in this episode. You can find him at Jeremy Bellucci Keyboards, or you can find his podcast, Suburban Proctologist, on iTunes, or you can find that on Facebook.com/Suburban Proctologist Official, or Instagram at SubProcPodcast. Thank you to Mike Mottola. Mike, hey, you want to watch more of Mike Mottola? We finally got him back on for a Basement or Fake Nerds Watch. What is wrong with me?
Fake Nerds Watch.
Dude, I was
Fake Nerds Watch special. That's there. That's linked below. You can find him at Mike Mottola on Instagram and TikTok. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all at Fake Nerd Podcast, fakenerdguys@gmail.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us personally, I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. Ben.
You can find me screaming at Wada Games for artificially inflating retro video game prices at BenMagnet27 on Instagram and Twitter. And also, like I said at the very, very top, I write for OldSchoolGamerMagazine.com. My newest article about celebrating 30 years of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System is linked down below. And also, spoiler alert, I'm writing an article about the whole Wada thing, so keep an eye out for that.
Sparks.
You can find me definitely not saying Candyman 5 times into a mirror at Sparks Witty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty.
Oh, wait, Sparks, is this your last episode because of the Space Jam thing?
No, last episode would have been my last episode.
Oh, right.
You have to edit it. You have to edit all of his talking out now.
Yep, now you have to cut me out of the episode.
Whatever. And Ryan.
Hey, guys, you can find me ghost riding the whip at DJ Tony Snark everywhere.
Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music and Podcasts, and Pandora. Rate and review wherever you get us. Like this video and subscribe to our channel. Until next week, guys, stay fake nerds.